All right. There we go. And you get a salute. And another one, a salute. You get a double salute because welcome to the Weekly Spinner Rack. I'm your host, Chris. I'm always the host. It's my show. What is it? It's a show about comic books, a weekly live stream where we are going to talk about the latest comic book news of the week, as well as review briefly the new comics that came out. I've got a few things that I am excited to share about Batman Deadpool. Am I frozen? Hold on. Just double checking. It looks like I'm dealing with some sort of a weird hang up just as I begin the show. We'll just assume that will correct itself. And let's see. We'll say hello to some people before we begin the news. But I feel like it's jittering. That's not good. All right, let's see. Hello, Steve. Thank you for the super chat. Ice cold sugar-free Mountain Dew. I'll make sure it's very nice and cold. Oh, wow. Dr. Shubil also has a nice super chat and says, scored some nice Osamu Tezuka volumes this weekend. Astro Boy Omnibus 1 and Dororo the Omnibus. That is awesome. I feel like there's something going on with the camera. But I can't tell if it's... I don't know why it would be the camera. Oh, you know what? It might be my signal. Bear with me a minute, folks. I don't like that. Hello, sister. And I'm sorry that I'm not greeting everybody. I'm obviously just starting a show and trying to make sure that it is smooth. I'm looking at my settings real fast. Just to make sure that I'm not doing anything crazy. No, that looks good. I'm not trying to do it at too high a resolution. Looks like I do have sort of a bad weather, so it might just be making, now that I think of it, the signal itself a little choppy. Darn it, that's really frustrating. I like my show to be a little more professional. Okay, let's see. Steve, another super chat. Chris, we truly love your content. Your fan base grows every week because you bring so much light. The holidays can be tough, but you're not alone. Thank you. I am definitely fighting some serious depression these days, but that's seasonal affective disorder. Video is lagging a bit from the audio, says Lame in Oz. Okay. Oh, and another super chat. Good Lord. Haha. I can afford dinner this week. I can afford a turkey. We care about you. Please keep leaning on us when things get heavy. You matter. You deserve all the support and kindness the world can give. That's really, really kind. I appreciate that. Wow. That's really amazing. That's just incredibly nice. Thanks for checking in, John. Gonna see Wicked 2, eh? I hope it's good. I've never seen that musical or the first movie or anything. I don't know. I know The Wizard of Oz, but I don't know Wicked. Is it still based on Frank L. Baum's books, or does it sort of create its own continuity? I guess I just don't know. I'll tell you what, let's get into the news of the week because we've got a lot to talk about and this is going to be fun. All right. Sorry that I was slow to get started. Let's do some news.
We're sitting on top of the story of the century here.
Put an ad on the front page. Cash money for a picture of Spider-Man. He doesn't want to be famous, and I'll make him infamous.
Hi, guys. This is April O'Neil from Channel 6 News, and I am here in beautiful New York City.
Haha, there we go. All right. Hey, how about this? Can you believe there's news? We've got some fun stuff to talk about. Super chats keep rolling in. I could use the help, folks. Thank you. If only we could pay bills with my sugar-free Mountain Dew Baja Blast. I know, right? Let's see. Get some tacos for you and the lady. Oh, that's so nice. Chrissy's definitely not doing super fantastic right now, so that could make life easier. I appreciate the help. That's awesome. A new perspective. Okay, for Wicked you're talking about, because I know you've seen. I think you've seen the Broadway show twice, right, Jeannie? If I'm remembering. Anyway, we're going to get started with some wild news of the week. I've got a good mix of stuff, I think, this week. Let's just get right into it. So first of all, this was a fun little surprise. Dynamite and Archie Comics teaming up. They're doing a surprise collaboration, which is called Archie. And I guess maybe the X means versus, right? Versus the Army of Darkness. And that's for February. A lot of the stuff that I'm going to be talking about is stuff that's solicited for February and March. We're already looking ahead. We've got multiple covers. It is Dynamite after all, but this one on the left is by the interior artist, and the one on the right is by pretty popular cover artist Hack, which is a nice little homage to the original's movie poster. If you haven't seen these, I like Archie and love the Evil Dead movies. So this actually it's fun, right? I mean, every once in a while, Archie does something like this. They've had him meet the Punisher or go up against the Predator, stuff that just seems way too dark. And instead, it just sort of lightens the other thing. It's usually pretty damn fun. Oh, look at that. My friend Dave, as well as my occasional co-host Jim Mafood, are both in beautiful Nihon, Japan right now. Konnichiwa, buddy. Wish you were here. I wish I was too, but thank you both for sharing such interesting videos. I know you're hanging out with guys like Dave Crossland and Japan Book Hunter. And yeah, thanks for sharing stuff on social media. It looks like you guys are going to some really interesting stuff. They went to the Evangelion exhibit. They're looking at all sorts of cool vintage manga. I know that when they get back, they'll each have stuff on their channels, respectively, Jim Mafood and West Coast Avengers. I got a lot of response for my last Comic Tropes episode of people saying that they picked up Klaus based on my review. So that's always nice to hear. I'll get back to this Archie news real quick. Oh, hold on. Frank Baum, born in Chittenango, New York, near Syracuse. Steve loves his Syracuse lore, but that is awesome. I've got some pretty old Frank L. Baum Oz books on my back shelf. If you look sort of on the reflection of the TV here, you see that there's some stacked books here. Those were my grandfather's on my mother's side. Those were his Oz books. And so I've got a few old ones, which is nice. Anyway, what else has this got? This is written by the writer of Army of Darkness versus Reanimator, Necronomicon, Eric Burnham. Sorry, it was called Necronomicon Rising. My bad. Eric Burnham. He's also written some of the, I think the Saturday Morning Ninja Turtles adventure stuff. And it's by the longtime Archie artist, Bill Galvin. So that's pretty fun. And we could kind of guess at the plot, I think. But yeah, Ash is going to visit Riverdale because Archie accidentally reads from the Necronomicon and unleashes the Deadites on Riverdale. That does seem like the kind of goof up that Archie would do, to be honest. Archie is a bit of a dum-dum from time to time. It seems fun to me. A nice little surprise. Good for them. Hey, we've not got the end of Blind Bag Madness. This thing, whoo! Look at it. Is a pretty presentation, I'll say. Look at this Image Comics Blind Bag. That looks very holiday appropriate. What is it? Image is teaming up with Gonk Bonk, and I wasn't really familiar with them, but they're an e-commerce site, and they do a lot of variant covers for comics. They do blind bags. They do blind boxes and stuff like that. They do all sorts of merch. Anyway, they're teaming up together to produce a Christmas-themed blind bag. They're calling it the 2025 Image Comics Holiday Blind Bag. Although, why do we call it holiday when it clearly has, Christmas decoration? I guess just call it Christmas, I guess. And I'm not one of those guys that's like, we don't say Christmas enough. I'm just saying, if you're going to go ahead and decorate it with red and green, it's not like somebody's going to go, hey, is that a Hanukkah gift? No, it clearly isn't. So what other holiday are we celebrating? But anyway, I'm just being a curmudgeon, I guess. Bah humbug! I am, by the way, portraying Ebenezer Scrooge for the next 2 seconds. All right, so that was my performance. I've always said put the Chris back in Christmas and put the Miss into Chris, but I don't know how to do that. I'm Ran Roughshod. There's a war on Christmas. More people need to celebrate Yule. All right, so this is going to be on store shelves just in the nick of time, December 24th. It's $20. $20 for one comic in there, one comic. So basically, each of these blind bags is going to have one rare. Can you guys hear, by the way, my cat? Jack is just playing with Lily upstairs, and he is just howling. Anyway, one rare ratio variant. Some of them, 1 to 25 is the most common, but it could be a 1 in 100. So those are pretty rare. Stuff that they've already produced over the years. Celebrate Christmas tropes. Oh, no, wait. I didn't say that right. Line. Celebrate Chris tropes, man, this year. Read comics. Oh. Yeah, everybody's like, $20 for one comic? Well, thanks for dropping in. It is a lot. It depends on how much you like variant covers that are probably like, foils and things like that. It could be any of these series. And yeah, I mean, it's basically just about everything that Image has published in the last year or two. We've got some Michael Fife. We've got some Jason Aaron and Mahmoud Asrar. We've got some Kirkman and Otley. We've got some down here. Look, we've got Liefeld represented. We've got Silvestri. We've got McFarlane. We've got Radiant Black with Kyle Higgins and crew. Lucky Devils I liked. Anyway, if you've enjoyed any of these books, maybe this is something for you. I thought I'd put it on people's radar. If you're looking to get somebody that collects the comics and loves variant covers, yeah, I would say this is a pretty fun gift. Maybe not for yourself, but it would be a pretty fun gift to get. So I get it. I get why they're doing it. But yeah, I'm not super into blind bags anymore. I'm a little burned out on that idea. Yeah, I don't know. I will say this, as long as we're talking about holidays, and it looks like I am still getting the occasional lag on the video. I'm sorry. I know the audio's okay. I wish I had better video today, but I don't think it's in my control. I think it'll still be a fun show, fortunately. Paste Pop Pete Holiday Special. I have decided I will make one of my Christmas episodes of the show where I look at a ridiculous Christmas-themed special. I think I found a pretty weird one. So yeah, I am going to do one. It's not specifically reviewing a comic book. It's reviewing a TV show. It's just something I've done off and on with my channel. Looked at the X-Men special, the Ninja Turtles holiday special, Rambo, RoboCop. But I found another one that I want to do. Not Star Wars. That's definitely been covered a lot. It would be sort of fun, but I'm not going to do that. I found a really weird show that I'm excited to share with everybody. It is an action show, and it does have Santa. Lots of Santa. All right. Moving forward. As long as I'm talking about Image stuff, I'll talk about this. Skybound announced a pretty big step forward for their connected Energon universe. They're going to have G.I. Joe's field leader Duke meet the Autobots leader Optimus Prime in February in the pages of G.I. Joe. Issues 19 and 20 are going to host this crossover. Skybound only said that the reason for the meeting will involve G.I. Joe Clutch and his secret friend, the Autobot Hound, as well as America's Most Wanted Man, Matt Tracker, who is Clutch's friend, we know. And if you remember your 80s toy lore, you'll know that is from the property Mask. So they've rolled in, if you don't know, Mask into the G.I. Joe lore. Isn't it illegal to print money? Says Randy. Look at that bitter jealousy of his friend's success. Randy's sitting here going, "Hey, you know, I've been buddies with these Kirkman folks. What's going on? What's in it for me?" I'm just giving you a hard time, Randy. Randy has some great comics, by the way. Look up Altruist Comics. I especially recommend his book Bullet Adventures. But I know that Randy got the rights back to a great book that he did with Scout, and he'll be publishing that again by himself, or maybe with another publisher. But I'm just glad that you got that Scout stuff resolved, and that you can do your cool super northern Canada monster book. I love it. All right, so what else about this? In this continuity, if you don't know, Duke's friend Frost was killed by Starscream. That's sort of how G.I. Joe was first introduced in this universe, was in the pages of Transformers. And that led to G.I. Joe basically being formed to investigate what these alien robots were. That in turn led them to discover Cobra, a terrorist organization that is using Energon, the energy source that the Transformers use, but which Cobra Commander has hijacked to power various weapons of mass destruction. Cobra Commander is a jerk, by the way. I know that sounds like a super friendly name, a kind of guy that you'd like to befriend, but Cobra Commander is a jerk. I would say that he's definitely got an idea of what the Transformers are that does not match what we, the reader, know. What else? Joshua Williamson is the writer. Andrea Milana is going to step in to draw this 2 issues, while the regular series artist Tom Riley is doing variant covers. Every once in a while, Riley needs a break. He's drawing a lot. I think Andrea Milana has been a great fill-in artist. Also the person that drew Williamson's Cobra Commander limited series before G.I. Joe launched as a monthly. Now, I don't want to bias your opinion, but I'm gonna go ahead and say it that this Cobra Commander guy seems like a real jerk. That's a terrible impression. I loved Norm, one of my favorite comedians of all time. Did I ever tell you guys that I got to open for him back in the 90s? Oh, he was so nice. Anyway, back in my stand-up days, a long time ago. This one surprised me. Anybody know who this Invincible villain is? You're about to. Hey, I appreciate it. Yes, smash it. I tell you what, I'm gonna slightly pivot, Steve. I'm gonna say, if you guys want to just delicately tap the subscribe or the like button, I'm okay with that too. Unlike most YouTubers, I'm okay with you not smashing it. All right, so yes, we are talking about Powerplex, but why are we talking about it? Well, actor Aaron Paul was on the Kinda Funny Games podcast, I guess you'd call it. It's a video show, but anyway, he revealed that he's not going to be returning to voice the villain Powerplex on Invincible, who he played throughout season 3, kind of the secondary antagonist coming and going throughout season 3, was in the comics and does continue past where we've seen him on the show. That's it. I haven't watched season 3, so that's an interesting opinion. Randy says that Aaron Paul's voice performance was over the top. Yeah. Thanks. Anyway. I think Aaron Paul, very good actor. Breaking Bad alone, yes. Seen him in what else? He's not done tons of stuff, but he did that other show, Westworld. He did like a special or something not that long ago. What did I see that I liked him in? I don't know. It's not coming to me, so I'll just keep moving. Here's Aaron Paul's. I almost said Jason Aaron. Here's Aaron Paul's quotes. I did a couple of episodes and they asked me to come back for the next season. Bitch. I'm only assuming that he included that in the middle. But I've got to tell you, Mr. White, that show I'm such a fan of. I watch every episode, bitch. It was just way too grueling on my psyche. What? Powerplex is just not messing around. He's going through things, turmoil. I put myself in that skin, and it was a skin I didn't feel comfortable in, to be honest. I didn't want to do it anymore. The thing is, everyone involved in that is amazing. What it did to me, I didn't like. I couldn't continue. What? Yeah, Dispatch. That's right. He did appear on The Price is Right as a young guy. He's also got a tiny role at the beginning of Mission Impossible 3 at the party that Tom Cruise is having for his wife. He wasn't called Tom Cruise in that. He went by his character name, Ethan Hunt. That is wild to me that you can do a show as dark as Breaking Bad and say that doing a voice role is too much. I was like, what? I don't know. I personally sort of wonder if maybe they just like didn't pay him what he wanted to be paid and he still like likes those people, but this is why he's stepping down. It just feels very strange to me to say like that you could do a show as intense as Breaking Bad, but then be like, no, voicing Powerplex, that breaks me. I mean, to be fair though, if you don't know, Powerplex does have a dark history in the comics and in the show. His sister and niece are bystanders that get killed in the fight that Invincible has with Omni-Man back at the beginning of everything. And so he blames Invincible for that. But then he sets up an event to attract Invincible's attention and attack him. And in that, he himself accidentally kills his wife and daughter. He has them pretend to be hostages, and then he accidentally kills them. So he himself is actually not a totally horrible person that wants to steal money or conquer the world. He just has weird blame issues. He blames Invincible. In the comics, he would occasionally help out with recovery efforts and stuff. He helped against the Invincible War. He helped, well, I don't want to spoil it for you if you haven't read the comics and you're watching the show, but there's a villain coming up, Dinosaurus, that does some bad stuff, and Powerplex helps sort of recover there. So I don't know, but yeah, Aaron Paul says that it's just too intense for him. Good for him, I guess. If that really is the truth, of course, I wouldn't want him to be unhappy and miserable. I don't. If he found it too intense, then so be it. Yeah, that's an interesting point. Dinosaurus is one of these guys where you understand his motivations, kind of like Magneto, but he does some really bad stuff. Yeah. All right, moving forward. So excited for this. Even when we don't know much, I have to talk about Criminal stuff because I love Criminal. I love Brubaker and Phillips. But they've announced a new book that's going to come out in June, which makes sense. They basically do 2 books a year, one halfway through the year, one towards the end of the year. And they just release it all at once instead of like monthly. I love that they can do that. Most creators need to get paid on a regular basis. So I do understand why not everybody can do this. Anyway, it's a complete graphic novel. They call it 5 Gears in Reverse, which honestly got my mind going. Like, that's an interesting idea. And it brings back the popular character Ricky Lawless. He was important in the initial Criminal volumes. If you don't know, Criminal jumps around to focus on, for its different storylines, it will focus on like different characters that all just sort of exist in the same world. It's not following one person chronologically. So it'll jump forward and backward in time, deal with people that like at first seem like smaller supporting characters. And then over time you realize like, no, for this story, they're the main character. Yeah. A little bit of a blast from the past. Great title. Yeah, wait a minute. Why haven't we gotten even a trailer yet? They're just going to drop it on us. Oh, The Knives is fantastic. Like, everything they've done is fantastic, in my opinion. The story is going to feature Ricky on a crime spree to pay off a mobster and how he falls in love with Mallory along the way. So, if you don't know, the first books focus more on his older brother Tracy Lawless and their father eventually. Ricky is a little more complex and tragic. He's going to be played by actor Gus Halper on the upcoming Amazon TV version. We should at some point get a trailer for that soon. And the solicitation copy said that it's going to be especially action-packed. So that's a little bit of a difference to pick up the pace like that. Is that a song by Elvis Costello, 5 Gears in Reverse, or Criminal? I guess I don't know. I do love Reckless. I think I love Reckless a lot, so I agree. I really want that to come back. I think, they'd taken a bit of a breather from Criminal. With the show coming out, I do get why they would be potentially reinvested and want to promote it. I'm positive at some point, within the year, they'll do another Reckless. I'm positive they will. 1982, Costello. Okay, I don't think I know that one off the. Maybe if I heard it, I would, but I don't think it's coming to me. I like Elvis Costello, but I can't claim to be a huge fan. I don't know his lore inside and out. All right, happy for my buddy Rick here. Rick Remender has signed with WME and Brillstein Entertainment Partners to develop his comics in Hollywood. Good. I mean, he's doing creator-owned stuff. It's only fair that he gets more potential paydays. And I listed a bunch of the books that he's done. Some of my favorites include Grommets and Escape in recent days. Deadly Class is a classic. Fear Agent is a classic. A lot of great artists in there, too. First one was called Coward, as I recall. So look up Coward. It's available as a trade paperback. Really, really rock solid. You can jump, but you don't have to read it in any particular order. Okay. A Grommets movie or even a limited TV show would probably be a really cool piece of live action fiction. They could do it animated, but I feel like that would do pretty well live action. I didn't pick up the latest issue of Sacrificers. They'd taken that hiatus, and I sort of lost track. I should pick it back up, though. Rick never really disappoints me, I will say. Anyway, the deal also signed his creator-owned imprint Giant Generator. So they represent both Rick and Giant Generator. If you don't know, Giant Generator is an imprint that he started, but it just allows the people that work on the comics to, of course, retain their rights, but it also exists as an entity to help usher those projects to different formats so that, they could adapt it into, like movies, TV, whatever it might be, a game. Remember, Rick has an extensive background writing video games like Dead Space, working in the animation industry before he did comics on movies like Iron Giant. Rick has an extensive history working in other media, even though I think comics is the best medium for him. Rick also posted about this news to Threads this week. I thought this was interesting. He wrote, after spending the last few years developing shows for Netflix, NBC, and Amazon that didn't get a green light, I took a year off of that to focus on my mental health, which was tattered. Entering back into the fray with such an incredible team has boosted the enthusiasm tank to get back to the plate for some big swings. Good. Very cool. Oh, good point. Yeah, Holy Roller obviously has, both Andy Samberg and who's that band member that helped write it? I forget. It's from Fall Out Boy, right? I can't remember his name though. Was Fear Agent in active development? I'm not sure that it is right now, to be honest. Wait, hold on. There was one. I can't remember now, actually. I've lost track. Larry Troman? Joe Troman, right? Isn't it Joe Troman? I don't know. Oh, it must be a day of the week that ends with Y if Amazon is doing a show that Seth Rogen is working on. He does a lot with them. Anyway, good for Rick and all of his artists and friends that work under Giant Generator. A lot of good books. How many people out here read Andrew MacLean's book Headlopper? It's a really wild, over-the-top, stylized Viking action comic. It's really cool. Comics, really. Well, anyway. Headlopper creator Andrew MacLean is back with a new book. This one's called Death Fight Forever. Good. I'm glad somebody else knows about Headlopper. It's really, really fun. It's really, really cool. This is coming out February 18th through Image. And what is Death Fight Forever? Oh, you totally should. It's worth reading. It's good. The solicitation for this premise is so over the top. Super thief Bruiser Brothers Crash and Bash Biggle jump into action to help Commander Thunderfang fight interdimensional crime boss Lord Slither. But a run-in with Marla Mendoza, leader of the Cops Gang and Slither's most formidable loyalist, changes the course of Bash's life forever. Wow. Good luck, Bash Biggle. Andrew's writing this one, not drawing it. The artist is a guy named Alexis Zirit. The pages I saw looked cool. They remind me a little bit, actually, now that I think of this. Some of you will get the reference. They remind me a little of what Tom Scioli was doing when he did his Transformers G.I. Joe crazy intense, like everybody fights everybody and anything goes book. Kind of reminds me a little bit of that style. Anyway, in a press release, Andrew said, Death Fight Forever was born from a love of 90s beat-em-up video games and a desire to write a comic that highlights some of the coolest art styles of our time. Yeah, I think that we've seen stuff like this too with, what was that short film? It's set in the 80s. It starts with some cops trying to arrest a gang, and the gang flips the cops' car by hitting their skateboard. It's live action, but super over the top, like really special effects-y. Kung Fury, that's right. Did you know that they actually filmed a sequel for Kung Fury? And it's got like Arnold Schwarzenegger in it, and I don't know, other actors. I want to say maybe somebody like Oscar Isaac, although that might not be correct. And they filmed this whole thing, and for some reason they were like blocked from releasing it. It sounded like the sequel was going to top the original. There've been like tiny little trailer teaser type things that have been released, but yeah, they filmed it years ago and they just haven't been able to get it released anywhere. I think it's tied up over the rights with the company that produced it going out of business and everybody fighting over the rights. I drew the last issue of Death Fight Forever, says Erwin Papa from the Long Beach Ink and Drink crew. So that must be what Andrew means when he says that there are a bunch of cool art styles. That's really, really cool. Yeah, direct homage to Double Dragon 2, no question. Alex Zirit did a 6 cyberpunk book called Night Hunters. That I didn't know about, but this is why it's so cool to have a live audience when I do this show, to get these extra opinions. I hope so. I think it's just business stuff, and someday it'll get released. But I want to say that they made it like, almost a decade ago at this point. I could be wrong. What a fun idea. If I were a Transformer, what would I transform into? I kind of like the idea of transforming into a big metal animal, like a rhinoceros or something. Has that ever been done in Transformers? Probably. Probably anything that can be an object is turned into a transformer. Oh, Jack, calm down. Crazy cat. All right. Let's see. Sam McKenzie, Al Gofa are also drew issues in this book. Irwin got hit in the head. No, but thank you for the extra info. Yeah? Who's the guy that does Robo Wolf? He would be a good fit. Robo Wolf. Oh, Beast Wars has a rhinoceros? Okay, I forgot. Yeah, the Dinobots. Oh, that would actually be really fun. Oh, yeah, I want to be Grimlock. Can I do that? Transform into a croc. Not a pair, a single, the left. Oh, so not a crocodile, a croc shoe. There is a hat that like Optimus Prime transforms into a hat, but it's too small, like you can't wear it, but it looks like a hat. What would I transform into? Chat, same question. Well, sure. What would you transform into, chat? Very, very fun. Me Grimlock not fighter, me Grimlock lover. I don't know if that's a good impression or not. Before I ever started Comic Tropes, I used to write daily for this nerd website that my friend had called The Robot's Pajamas. And I reviewed every episode of each of the 3 seasons of Transformers that continued after the 3 seasons we got here in the States. They continued the same continuity for 3 more seasons in Japan. So that was kind of fun because guys like Skullcruncher would always show up and his phrase every time he fought was, "Eat this." Was it a Kickstarter? Maybe. I don't know. Transform into a gun sword, an air fryer, since yours broke, a rich person with spare time. Yeah, we're all transforming into things that we need. I transform into my mortgage. Chainsaw Man. Moving on. Let's talk about the big auction that went down this week. So if you don't know, a 1939 copy of Superman #1 sold at auction for $9.12 million. Just to be clear, that includes the total price that the bidder paid for. A bunch of that are fees that go to Heritage. The actual auction price, like the final hammer price, was lower, but you do know going in that you're paying like this premium to the auction house for doing all of that. Anyway, if you don't know, that is the most a comic book has ever sold for. It beats the previous record, which was set fairly recently, April of last year, and that was Action Comics #1, Superman's first appearance, predates Superman #1. That sold for $6 million. Why would that sell for less? Simply because that copy was graded an 8.5, whereas this is graded a 9.0. Although that copy of Action Comics #1 came from the Kansas City Pedigree Collection. I've got an episode on Comic Tropes. If you don't know what a Pedigree Collection is, I go into that and talk about some of them. And apparently there's only 2 copies of Action Comics #1 that are in a better grade that are known about that haven't been restored. Just they're in that condition. So this one we talked about in the news here. It was found by 3 brothers in the attic of their late mother's home. Pristine condition. A 9 out of 10 by CGC for a Golden Age book is incredible in general. Basically, she lived in San Francisco. It was cool and dry. It was in the same attic. It was also sort of covered by newspaper that would absorb any excess humidity. And so it just happened to be kept in the absolute perfect conditions. Nothing bad happened to it. No, it's just amazing. Their mother had bought the comic herself when she was 9 years old in Depression-era San Francisco. 9 years old, she bought it and kept it. And she told her sons over the years that she had rare comics somewhere, but that she couldn't remember where. And the sons just thought that she was sort of not remembering right. They dismissed it as a family legend. But this is the kind of story you all sort of hope for, like going to, a yard sale or going through an attic or a basement, you hope to come across something valuable. This is basically the most extreme example of that going as well as it could if you're going through it. I mean, it's not happy that the mother has passed away, of course, but it's amazing that they came across that. I mean, that sounds life-changing to me. Even split 3 ways, even with the premium going to the auction house, just incredible. So congratulations to them. And that is a new record. I really don't know, is there any book that's going to top that? Not easily, to be honest. Not easily. Because you have to have something historical and in better condition. And that just isn't super likely to happen anytime soon. But here, I've got a clip to show you guys from the actual auction when history was made by this being the highest a comic has ever sold for.
I'm at 7.6. Do I hear 7.7 from you, Heritage Live? I will say, fair warning at $7.6 million, unless I have that advance or give me a cut at 7.65. Fair warning, $7.6 million. 7502. Congratulations to our phone bidder. Congratulations to our bidders. Thank you very much. That is the record of all records for comic books. Thank you very much. And now we're going to go on to lot 16.
So I just thought I'd share it with you because it's not the most dramatic thing in the world, but as a piece of history, I think that record should end up staying for quite a while. Yep, that's what it actually sold for. So they bid 7.6 million. But when you include the buyer's premium, which are the fees that go to heritage auctions, and they know this, that's what pushed it to the 9.12 million total that that the winner paid. So, yeah, I'm not always one that gets super excited about, every golden age and silver age thing going to auction, but when it sets a record, it's interesting. I wonder who has that kind of money and that there were multiple people. If you saw that little clip, you saw and I only included the last few seconds, but people were bidding in the 6 and 7 millions, knowing that they'd be paying 9 million, and there were multiple people bidding. So I don't know. I'm assuming that these are just either, tech bros living in the Bahamas full time, or Saudi princes, something like that. But that's everything I've got to say about it. I'm happy for the brothers, and it definitely is a comic that deserves to have the record. Superman is incredibly important to comic book history. Incredibly important. You guys know sometimes I'll do silly golden age comic reviews on Comic Tropes. Maybe you don't know that, but I do. And it really shows how special Superman is. Because you look back at the original Superman, and the art is a lot more crude than what we see today. The stories are a lot more simple. But it had so many elements that are better than other things that were being created at the time. It had lasting appeal because it developed an interesting supporting cast. It had consistent powers. It had really clear, iconic design to the costume. Really clear. It wasn't just that everybody copied it because it was successful. It became successful because there's so many good elements to it. So I really like that. I really like how Superman succeeded. And it's interesting to look at all the other attempts to be something new that didn't work. Superman's quite, what word am I looking for? It's like when something can be changed and the tone can be adjusted and it's dynamic. I don't know. There's a term for that I'm not coming up with, but it's malleable. It's something like that. All right. I don't know. I'll move on. We've got some news on this craziness. DC released some new details on their DC KO crossover that involves the characters that they get to borrow from like Dynamite and from IDW. Yeah. Versatile, it was the word that I was looking for. Thank you. Superman is more versatile than you would think. All right, so it's going to be called DCKO Boss Battle. It is a one-shot that will have all these characters. It's going to be written by Jeremy Adams. He's done a lot for DC lately, last few years, I mean. Various artists, including Ronan Cliquette, Carmine Di Domenico. I hope I got that right. And the DC heroes will open pocket universes to gain Omega energy by defeating champions of other worlds. Like, they're realizing that they're not getting enough Omega energy by defeating just each other. They need to get a little bit more. So they've got this one shot where they go and fight champions of other worlds, including Vampirella, Homelander, Red Sonja, Annabelle, Samantha Strong from Beneath the Trees, Sub-Zero. That one I think Warner Brothers owns. Just a bonkers idea. I cannot wait to read it. They haven't confirmed the matchups, but they've definitely strongly hinted that Superman will fight Homelander and that it might be the Joker going up against Annabelle. It's a one-shot. It's going to be in comic book stores February 4th. IDW does not have Mortal Kombat. Just to be clear, these are characters from IDW, Dynamite, and while Sub-Zero is not in DC Comics, it is owned by their parent company, Warner Brothers. So, I love that everyone is just floating, but Red Sonja gets an asteroid to kind of stand on. I think Jeff Spokes was just having fun drawing this. I don't know that there's really logic to any of it, but yeah. So, yeah. I love how crazy it is. I love it. I think it'll be a blast. I'm definitely going to be picking it up just for the sheer absurdity and wildness of it. So he definitely would if we go canonically by the power levels of Homelander and Superman. However, you can always write, oh, when you go into this other dimension, maybe you're not as strong, or maybe you've been weakened by some of the fights that you've had recently. So they can balance the power levels so that it's still a fight. I don't think it would be interesting to see Superman just come in and beat Homelander with one punch. So we'll see. We'll see. Maybe they'll surprise us and treat it as a joke, but I doubt it. Look at all these X-Men facing us, and Rogue is like, no, I'm going to show my best side. X-Men United has been announced. That's going to be a new X-Men book by writer Eve L. Ewing and Diego Palma. Now, Diego is a newer artist in American comics. He's a really great guy that I met a couple New York Comic-Cons ago. He's from Brazil. Really, really talented. I'm sure he's going to make waves and really impress people. So congratulations to Diego for getting, an X-Men book from Marvel. I think that's a huge accomplishment. What's the story of X-Men United? It's going to focus on reopening the Xavier Institute, the school. They're going to call it Gray Matter Lane. The executive editor of the X-Men books is Tom Brevoort, and he said, quote, Gray Matter Lane is a place where all the major players in the X world will come together to fight, hook up, and hash out their differences. So, yeah, I guess just sort of creating a central point when you've got all these different like team books and solo series. I think they also announced this week that Danny Moonstar will be getting a limited series. They've got a way to like connect it all. I can understand that. Yeah, Gail is still writing her Uncanny X-Men book, to be clear. Saitama. Boy, they're doing a lot of X-Men stuff. It's a lot. It was, but now they're calling it Gray Matter. And I would think Tiago, what did I say? Anyway, I've met him several times. He's great. Super nice guy. I'm really happy for his success in getting this book. So yeah, anyway, just thought I'd mention that there's a new book that's designed to sort of put them all together. Comes out March 11th, and it's going to have connecting covers by Stefano Caselli. This was the art that Marvel was using at New York Comic Con beginning of last month to announce Shadows of Tomorrow, which is just sort of the overall name for this era of X-Men. It's a really cool drawing. I guess I didn't realize that Zorn was still in play. You know, I'm not reading any of the X-Men books right now, to be honest. So I don't know every single character in here. Like, I don't know in this sort of like purpley pink up here, I don't know who that character is. I recognize several characters from Gale's X-Men run right now. I recognize some people like, I want to say Surge and Elixir. But yeah. We'll see if it's any good. I'd like it to be. That said, I kind of tried, and this X-Men era isn't really grabbing me. I think it would probably work very well for a new reader of X-Men because it is a back-to-basics approach. It just isn't giving me anything new enough. I'm pretty sure Phantom X died, and there's sort of like a female Phantom X, like because his internal organs were like separated, and I think one of them evolved into a new Phantom X, but I'm not up to date enough. Phantom X's internal organs, Eva, is still around, but I don't know about Phantom X himself. I like Phantom X. Yeah, great new idea. Great new idea. But hey, what does Grant Morrison know, right? Should I even have some notes on this one? I mean, this is what it is, folks. This is what it is. Have you ever wanted to see the Fantastic Four battle a bunch of monkeys? Well, guess what? They have monkey enemies. They've got Red, what is it? Not Red Skull, but Red something or other, and his space apes. Anyway, Marvel announced that they're going to publish a 4-issue crossover series, Planet of the Apes versus Fantastic Four. Ooh, begins in February. Red Ghost, thank you. Red Ghost. Everybody knows it's Red Ghost. And the Super Apes. I said Space Apes. You know what? Hey, it's not like they mentioned it a couple times in the recent movie. It's not like it would be fresh in my mind. You guys are hilarious. Let me continue, just so you know who's involved and what it is. Marvel says Marvel's first family find themselves stranded on the planet of the apes. I could almost see that happening since since the Fantastic Four are technically explorers that will sometimes go up in rocket ships, and those tend to crash on the planet of the apes. Witness history is the Fantastic Four cross paths for the very first time with Cornelius, Zira, Ursus, and of course, Dr. Zaius. Oh, Dr. Zaius. Can I play the piano anymore? Of course you can. Well, I couldn't before. They won't be going alone. Familiar foes from the Marvel Universe have set their sights on Ape City, setting the stage for a battle royale that fans won't soon forget. I would say I like a lot of Planet of the Apes movies, but there's also some real stinkers in there, you know? I like the first two of the 5 original Planet of the Apes movies. I definitely like the first one a lot. And it kind of got pretty weird and stuff. Time travel gets involved. It gets cheaper and cheaper, so the masks look less convincing. Hated the reboot that was done by Tim Burton. Oof, with Mark Wahlberg. I'm a scientist. Guys, how about we create some burgers and we go fly into outer space? I'm a scientist. One of the 3 times that I can think of that Mark Wahlberg was supposed to be a scientist. He was also in that movie The Happening, where trees decide to kill humans, and but not like in an interesting way. They just release spores, invisible spores in the wind. And of course, his 2 appearances in Transformers. Guys, I think I found a Transformer. But the 4 recent Planet of the Apes movies, those were all good. I liked all 4 of the new ones. I like the reboot a lot, the new reboot. But that is obviously not the version that they are meeting. I think that would honestly be a little more relevant to the readers of today. I'm old, right? I recognize Zira and Cornelius and Dr. Zaius. I recognize them, but I don't think everybody else does these days. I think that like it would have been smarter if they were going to do this crossover to use like Caesar and those apes. That's just me. Probably even just like the newest characters that are even further from Caesar in the latest movie. But yeah. Sometimes Fantastic Four can do hard sci-fi, but you need to have the right writer for it. Yeah, I get what you're saying. Tonally, right. Tonally, superheroes and the slightly campier original could be a better fit. So I guess I get what you're arguing there. And I don't disagree. It's written by Josh Trujillo, drawn by Andrea DeVito, and covers. Sorry, we can't get everything we want. Covers by Greg Land. He must sell comics because they keep hiring him to do covers, not even interiors, covers. So his work must sell. It's not for me, but so be it. I'll be honest. I remember the live action single season Planet of the Apes show that Roddy McDowell was on. I don't remember a Planet of the Apes cartoon. Was that like Hanna-Barbera or something? It would have had to be in that age. I don't remember that at all. It could be fun. It could be fun. In fact, here, I got one panel from inside, or page, I should say. And I think that the artist is doing a really good job at making these characters recognizable, but still comic booky and fun. I mean, that's good. That's good interior art. I like that. The Greg Land thing doesn't sell it for me. This interior page sells it for me more than the rest of it. I go, oh, that's not bad. That's not bad. Better than not bad. It's actually pretty fun looking. I like that the apes have so much expression to them. These all look really good to me. So yeah, that's interesting, isn't it? Like I don't know. They probably all lost their powers somehow. Otherwise, the Fantastic Four should basically be able to one-shot a Planet of Apes. But if they don't bring in Red Ghost and his super apes, what are we even doing here, right? I know you got to put Dr. Doom on the cover, but you got to include that, right? I mean, they canonically have enemies that are super powered apes. And they come from space. I mean, you got to include them. You got to. All right, moving on. Who's gonna get their drip updated? Who's gonna show their riz by getting this this great gear? All right, so Marvel and Adidas announced a collaboration that also rolls in Real Madrid, the football team, the football club, and New Zealand's national rugby team, All Blacks. Because you know that most people that love superheroes are also super into specifically Real Madrid and All Blacks. The clothing is available at Adidas stores and online. Apparently, it comes with a comic book to make sense of this. That's why I wanted to talk about it, all right? Here's the comic book premise. set across two legendary arenas, the Santiago Bernabeu Stadium, I don't know, and the All Blacks training grounds. The Marvel comic defining this collection was written by Stephanie Williams. That's in its favor, with art by J.L. Giles and colors by Chris Sotomayor. The plot follows both teams as they face an otherworldly threat, Ultron and his army of sentries, arriving through an interdimensional portal after a Roxxon satellite crashes to Earth. Now I'm getting confused. Why do we need an interdimensional portal? Oh, it's on the other side of the world. We need an interdimensional portal. Quadruple, really? Quadruple, Chuck. Quadruple brand synergy in this. Anyway, as chaos erupts across Madrid and New Zealand, the Avengers join forces with the players standing shoulder to shoulder to protect their home turf. Yes, because, you've got Thor and Iron Man, but it always helps to have a guy that could, toss or kick a football, right? That's helpful. I don't know. The Miles Morales suit in Spider-Man 2 that people made fun of, I don't know what that is, to be honest. Sorry. NFL Super Pro sheds a single tear at not being included. I am a fan of really forced promo comics. I've talked about them on my show before, Marvel and Citrus Man promoting Florida's orange juice, or the eBay comic. I've never reviewed it, but there's a Subway comic where the Justice League teams up with Jared. That just seemed a little too dark for me. Yeah, Combo Man is one of my favorites. I love talking about that stuff. Oh, from the game. Spider-Man 2, the game. I was thinking of all the movies and stuff. If Adidas did an extra costume in that game, I have to admit I don't really remember it very well. That's entirely possible. That almost rings a bell. That tickles something in the back of my mind. I'm sure you're right. Wouldn't it be fun if they did one of these and then they roll, for no real reason, all of a sudden NFL Super Pro and Combo Man also appeared? Now that would be fun. Dude, I still think I may review Batman and the FaZe Clan for at least my supporters on Patreon, because that comic is cringe, as the kids would say. It is bad. It is bad. So anyway, yeah, they've got all sorts of clothes. So what was this? If you were on social media this week and you follow any comics news, you may have seen this or some of the related pictures that went with it. Did anyone else out there see this image? Because I saw it, and I have to admit, I see it and I go, it strikes me as an AI concept, but it looked very convincing, right? It looked very convincing when I looked at it. I'm going, these are updated costumes. It's based on the looks we know. The lighting doesn't look as sort of generically soft lit everywhere as a lot of AI imagery. So I looked at it and I didn't know if it was real or not. Muhammad Ali versus Superman was a good comic. No question. There can be good crossovers and stuff like that. Yeah, against your will. So anyway, let's talk about this, because this made the rounds this week. Whoops, came out in weird order. Let's just do this. So this week, a social media user who once had shown an accurate behind-the-scenes look at Daredevil also apparently showed a behind-the-scenes look at Avengers Doomsday, but it was quickly taken down. Okay, so that's not what we're talking about. But that was enough to generate interest, and everybody was looking for these supposed leaked pictures of Doomsday. And that's when this started getting shared by everyone. This look at supposedly the X-Men characters and Teyonah Parris from the Marvels, who, of course, went to that universe. It was getting shared everywhere. But ultimately, just to be clear, it was determined that this photo and the others that came out at the same time, they were created with a mix of AI and Photoshop. Okay. This is not real. This is not real. So maybe some of the reason why like it looks better is that somebody went in with Photoshop and touched it up and stuff, you know? And I think people would want it to be real because it looks good. We have been told that Cyclops will have sort of the Jim Lee look, so like that fits. I think a lot of us would like to see Mystique in an actual accurate, you know, costume to the comics, like, you know, the white dress, the skull, gold medallion thing. But here's how it was done. This week, Gemini 3, it has an image creator called Nano Banana. I don't know how we're supposed to take any of this stuff seriously with names like that. It launched, and apparently the imagery that it can create is already much more convincing than what we've seen from AIs in the past. So they were also behind the scenes things with like Tobey Maguire and Hugh Jackman meeting Robert Downey Jr. And it looks pretty damn convincing, to be honest. It's frustrating because AI has gotten to a point where it's more convincing for what it looks like. Okay. Fans were able to confirm this was AI, and this is why I'm talking about it. This is a way that all of us can figure out if something is AI. Things created with this new image generator do have a hidden watermark in the metadata that will always be there. It's called Synth ID. And if you upload an image to Google image search and ask it to do a check, it'll tell you if it's AI created or not. And this was. Yep, they also did that this week. Yep, I saw that fake one. And it's frustrating that like at first glance now, it looks so convincing because it stops you from questioning it potentially. And it's frustrating to have to question stuff that looks the same as everything else. Yeah, Daniel Day-Lewis, he's back and in Avengers Doomsday as his character for some reason from Gangs of New York. Bill the Butcher died. What? Anyway, another indication that this was AI is that there were additional images, and you have to use context clues, like the fact that it included cast members that haven't been announced, like Famke Janssen in a Phoenix suit. And we're like, okay, well, we haven't heard that she's in the movie. She could be, but she hasn't been announced. You know what I'm saying? Aaron Ashmore as Iceman. We're like, we haven't heard that he's going to be in the movie. So you have to sort of like use some of those context clues. Sometimes there's just little inconsistencies. The costumes were actually very consistent, but Nightcrawler in some of them, I felt like he looked closer to Beast. So it's small and you have to really look at it. And I'm just bringing it up to say like, unfortunately, we've all got to be a lot more skeptical. We've got to be more skeptical when we see like, you know, leaked stuff. I mean, unless it comes through an official source, you have to take it with a grain of salt. Do you think he looks a lot younger than he normally does? I don't know. Patrick Stewart might look a little too young in this, to be honest. He's getting up there. I've heard that his appearance as Professor X in these Avengers movies is the last thing he's probably going to do acting wise, period. He's up there. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, it does still look kind of clean. I agree. There's another weird one, just to be clear. It's almost like move the camera 90 degrees around, and then they were all sitting in chairs, and the back wall here just had this really plain sign that says Avengers Doomsday reshoots, and it's like or day 3, and it's like I don't think anybody needs such a basic sign put up there. You know, they're really up there. I'll be honest. I think who played Kirk? William Shatner is kind of seems to be doing a little better health wise than Patrick Stewart. William Shatner is going to outlive all of us somehow. Yeah, you have to like sort of like really use all these context clues if you doubt it. But they, by that same token, they could have staged a press photo in a makeup area if they wanted to. Fake leaks in AI, my favorite. Yeah, so it is what it is, but I thought I'd mention it so that we could all be skeptical. Some more Marvel movie news. This week it was confirmed that actress Sadie Sink, seen here promoting the next season of Stranger Things, she's going to appear. We already know that she's appearing in Spider-Man Brand New Day. She's also going to be in Avengers Secret Wars. Wow. Okay, that's interesting. I wouldn't have expected that. Not Avengers Doomsday, to be clear. They're saying the second Avengers movie. That's, they're making two that are one big story, but still. Her character has yet to be announced. A lot of speculation that I see on the comic book news sites, it's not even news. I don't know why they're speculating, but they turn to various supporting characters from Spider-Man. And I get it. Like, could this be Spider-Gwen? Could this be May Parker? And I'm like, I guess you can do multiverse stuff like that. I don't think that they're going to, but you could. I think it's worth noting, though, that one thing we do know about the Spider-Man movie is that both Punisher and Hulk are in it. MCU characters, right? And I think that the MCU would have a vested interest in inserting supporting characters in the Spider-Man movie that are part of their universe so that they can follow up on plot threads without necessarily having to share the movie with Sony, like share Spider-Man specifically. Yeah, it could be Felicia Hardy, but that would be a Sony character, right? I think that personally, I think she's going to be a supporting character in the Punisher universe. That's just what I think. I know it's weird, but I think that she's playing this other Marine whose husband is killed by mobsters, and she basically also becomes the Punisher. That's just my guess, but it's really not based on anything other than the Punisher's in it. By the way, Sadie Sink, she's in London right now to be in a play. She's rehearsing. She's going to make her stage debut in London, and both of these films are currently being filmed in London. So I think that might also be part of the reason she is in Avengers Secret Wars, is that she's there. She's available. She might not have a huge role. And it's a multiverse movie. So, even if we'll just say this, say she's Spider-Woman in the Spider-Man movie. Okay. She's not, I don't think, but say she was, she could easily just be a non-powered regular character in Secret Wars, sort of just somebody that represents somebody on the street that is not super powered in that context. I don't know. Spider-Man Brand New Day comes out July 31st next year, and then Secret Wars is set for December 17th, 2027. But your guess as to who she's playing is as good as mine. I just was sort of surprised that she will be in the Avengers movie. That's a good guess. She's probably playing the kangaroo. Yep. And not the kangaroo from the Marvel Comics, more specifically from the Spider-Man manga. She's a pro wrestler that decides to become a criminal. A lot of people say Jean Grey, and I get that because of the red hair, but I just don't think that I see them introducing an X-Men character, such an important X-Men character, in a Spider-Man movie. I just don't know. I tend to doubt it. I think that there's already enough going on with Punisher and Hulk, right? You can insert Punisher if it's more of a gang war story and he fits. And Hulk, you can add if it's more Bruce Banner and Peter Parker, or Hulk and Peter Parker having some sort of a past relationship. You can do that. But if you start adding even more elements, it's like you're losing focus of the fact that it's a Spider-Man movie. And I just don't think that they're going to do that. I think that whatever role she plays, I think is more related to some other character, like a villain or Punisher or Hulk, something like that. Baseball Patricia. There she goes. She's just playing Aunt May. They've just got her even younger now. She's gotten younger in every movie. Yeah. All right. Some Angoulême follow up. So this week, the mayor of the town of Angoulême called for the cancellation of their annual comic festival. That's pretty huge. She said, "This isn't coming together. We should cancel it." This has followed a tumultuous week of meetings with publishers, with comic pros, with local residents of Angoulême. The residents of this town rely on this festival to make money in the lean years until it's like warmer weather when they get more tourism stuff. And government officials. As you can see, the mayor has gotten involved. There's also national government involved because the national French government, one of their departments has always given a huge subsidy to the city to make this event happen because it brings in revenue, right? Well, a big problem that people have accused the current people that run the festival on is that they've mismanaged the money, and that subsidy got pulled. However, I don't have it in the notes, but literally, like today, I guess, the French government is now saying that they might actually be willing to give back at least a bunch of that subsidy after all. I'm going to recap that because you're right. Not everybody knows what I'm talking about, why it's an issue. But here's what it is. The festival has been in danger after a lot of pros, not just a big group, like the vast majority of comic book pros and a lot of the publishers, almost all the publishers, promised that they would boycott the convention this year if the current organizer remained in power. And that is because the organizer, 9E Art, that's because France calls comics the ninth art, but 9E Art is the name of the organization that runs the event, not owns the event, but runs it. They have the contract to run it. They've been accused of both financial mismanagement and that they fired an employee who reported, and I'm just trying to like not get myself demonetized here, an SA, like a certain type of assault, folks, at this past year's event. That's bad. On Wednesday, this past Wednesday, their national newspaper, Liberation, announced that there would be no festival in 2026. That's what they're hearing from insiders. But then the convention organizers did respond with a press release saying that they still planned on having it. So just to be clear, it's still up in the air. The convention organizers are saying that they want to have it. The mayor is saying cancel it. It's not coming together. And if you folks don't know, it's over 200,000 people that go to this event. Well over 200,000 people. It's a humongous citywide Comic-Con. It's the whole identity of the town. If you go there, like their trash bins and stuff look like comic book panels. Anyway, a bunch of the stakeholders met. The mayor announced on Thursday that the festival would not happen this coming January through February. That's the latest. On Friday, just this past Friday, Elise Boucher-Tran, she's the former communications manager for 9E Art. She spoke to France 3, that's one of their news stations, to TV stations, about her assault and firing. 9E Art says that she was fired for, just not being good at her job. But she's like, no, I was assaulted. I reported it and they fired me for it. Does not look good. Does not look good. While the financial mismanagement is a serious concern, the reason most people are boycotting it is because of that latter, of what Elise Boucher-Tran has reported. She also used to be known by Chloe, like the anonymous name Chloe, but in this news interview, she was like, everybody in the industry kind of already knows, it's small enough, people know who I am, so I'm not using the fake pseudonym Chloe anymore. Like, I'm just coming out and telling my story. It hasn't been decided. The mayor called for the cancellation, but that doesn't mean that it actually will be canceled. A lot of the people in the town still want the event to take place, but it's only going to take place, just to be clear at this point, if, 9E Art is removed from power. Like their contract is canceled at this point. So it's a total mess. it's a festival I've always wanted to go to. It's humongous, and it's multiple days. It's a whole city celebrating. It's the biggest comics festival in Europe. It's the premier event, but it's become an absolute nightmare this year. Absolute nightmare. So I feel like at this point, it's probably for the best to cancel it. By the way, this was the festival poster for last year's. It's made by Posey Simmons. She's one of the former Grand Prix winners, of their festival. Almost everybody that's won a Grand Prix award has said they're not going to go. They're boycotting it. So I think it's just so close now. We're not even I guess a little over 2 months away. Boy, that's going to be fast to make some changes behind the scenes and still put it on. That's going to be fast. I don't know. Anyone remember this guy down here? I'm going to talk about Shadow Man. Valiant announced a Shadow Man comic over here called Legacy of Leroy. And that's the third arc for their alternate universe series, Valiant Beyond. Anyway, it's called Tales of the Shadow Man. Here's why it's notable. It's because most Shadow Man stories use a guy named Jack Boniface, okay? But there is a more obscure one, Michael Leroy. And obviously, not obviously, but it's called Legacy of Leroy. So that they're using this guy. Leroy was created by Garth Ennis and Ashley Wood during that period where Valiant was owned by Acclaim, the video game publisher. And that was the one that they used in their N64 game. I definitely played the Shadow Man N64 game. It's of its era. I liked it. I also really liked their Turok game, the first-person shooter. Turok was actually, I thought, a blast. So anyway, yeah. But he hasn't been used a lot in the comics. Not a lot. Usually it's Jack, but this is Michael that they're going to use. AJ M. Padu and Sergio Monjes are going to tell the Bayou-based stories for a 3-issue run. Valiant Beyond, that's what this is being published under. That's basically their version of the Ultimate Universe or the Absolute Universe. It's sort of a fresh, you don't need to know anything beforehand. This is like our new, this is our new idea. So I just got a kick out of the fact that they are using the Shadow Man from the old N64 game. I think that they also had a version of that game on the PlayStation, now that I think of it. But I had the N64 version. That was the only game you liked? Man, I liked tons of games back then. Anything Rare made, GoldenEye, Perfect Dark, Conker's Bad Fur Day was pretty fun. I really liked the Banjo-Kazooie games. I liked the Super Mario game. What else? There were so many games back then I liked. There was one called Beetle Adventure Racing that I liked. Yeah, it was really, there were a lot. There were a lot of games I liked back then. And yeah, Donkey Kong 64 was good. Oh, what am I thinking of? Ocarina of Time. Zelda Ocarina of Time. That's like one of my all-time favorites. Love that one. Yeah, that's way up there, actually, as far as just video games in general, not even that system. I think Ocarina of Time is fantastic. Majora's Mask is also good for a Zelda game on the N64, but yeah. Paper Mario. Superman 64, I rented with a friend, and we struggled and couldn't even pass the first level. I mentioned GoldenEye. I love GoldenEye. In fact, I unlocked everything in GoldenEye, which to do that, you had to race through the levels and be so precise. And there was one to either get invincibility or invisibility. I really can't remember now, but you had to race through the damn level at like an insane pace and just do everything perfect. And I did it eventually. I did it. I was really proud of myself. Oh yeah, Hydro Thunder was a fun racing game. I mean, you look back now and it's kind of weird, blurry textures and sharp architecture, but at the time it was really, really fun. I liked it. Anyway, just feeling nostalgic. Grim. So the Wednesday producers, the TV show Wednesday, based on the comic Addams Family. The producers of that show are Al Gough and Miles Miller. They also created the show Smallville. Well, they are going to adapt the Boom Studios comic Grimm for Netflix. It's a good team to have behind it. Jennifer Yu Nelson, she's a supervising director on Love, Death, and Robots. She's also a producer. Okay. Deadline announced that this is going to be an adult animated series based on the horror fantasy comics by Stephanie Phillips. We've talked about her a bit tonight. And artist Flaviano. That was a terrible game. Mortal Kombat Mythologies Sub-Zero? Something like that. Here's the premise. Grimm follows Jessica Harrow, a newly recruited Reaper tasked with ferrying souls to the afterlife. Unlike her fellow Reapers, Jessica has no memory of her own death or her life before. Her search for answers pulls her deeper into the unseen architecture of the afterlife, revealing hidden forces, cosmic secrets, and her shocking personal connection to death itself. Anyway, Grimm wraps up its 25-issue comics run this month. It started back in like 2022, I want to say. Really, really good. A few weeks ago, we got an update on Witches from Scott Snyder. He said that they're currently looking at the animatics, that they've got like a version of the pilot just about done, and that the writer's room is already writing season 2. So he said that there's a lot of progress, not too much longer. Yeah. But Grimm is a good comic if you haven't read it. I've read maybe the first year and I need to get caught up, but it's good. It's real good. This is not by the regular artist, by the way. That's a variant cover by Dan Panosian that I just really liked, but I am a sucker for Dan Panosian these days. It's got a cool mythology. It's got a cool vibe to it. It feels cool and new enough that, yeah, it's a blast. It's really, really good. And the idea of an animated version of it makes a lot of sense. All right, moving forward. Kaito 84, or I guess we would say 84. It's published. It's doing it out of order again. All right. Dark Horse is going to take Usagi Yojimbo to a new setting. Comes out March 11th, 2026. 5-issue series called Usagi Yojimbo Kaito 84. Thank you, Steve. You beat Superman 64 and the Shaq Fu OG fighting one. Dude, that's incredible. Wow. Wow, that's amazing, Steve. This series is going to follow a descendant of, the main character, Miyamoto Usagi. And it's going to be set in 1980s Osaka. I love this cover, by the way. This cover is gorgeous. Here's the premise. In 1984 Osaka, the bloodline of Miyamoto Usagi lives on through Kaito, a cunning rabbit thief with a rebellious spirit. He embodies his ancestors' legacy in a way the stoic samurai we know and love never could. A daring new heist for a legendary spear sets Kaito down a perilous path, forever altering his destiny and placing the fate of Osaka and perhaps the world on his shoulders. So Usagi Yojimbo, I believe, if I'm remembering it right, began getting published in 84, but the main character, if you haven't read that, that is all set in Edo era Japan. It tells us a lot about culture and myths and history all through a talking animal adventure book. It's really, really cool. So this one is not by Stan Sakai, though, just to be clear. It's written by Zach Rosenberg, both lettered and drawn by Jared Cullum. And variant covers will include one by Jim Rugg. So if you are a fan of cartoonist kayfabe, you might want to get the Jim Rugg Kaito 84 cover. Yep, they've done Descendants of Usagi before. That was Space Usagi. There have been 2 different versions of Space Usagi. Yeah, it's a really good comic, folks. If you haven't read it, it's full of adventure, but it really does weave in a lot of interesting bits of history. It's incredible. I believe that Stan Sakai is currently still in Japan right now. He was at least a day or 2 ago. He went to do a signing in Kyoto, and I saw that a local store even made sports jerseys emblazoned with Usagi Yojimbo that you could beat. That would be interesting. Obviously, Usagi does have a history of meeting the turtles a lot, but I'm pretty sure this is just designed to be its own thing. That would probably be like, if it's successful, maybe in a sequel. I don't think that they're going to do the turtles in this, but yeah, 1980s Japan. I wasn't there in 84, but I think my sister and I were there in like 89, maybe. So not too far off. It was interesting. Within 10 years of this, we were in there. And we went to Osaka and Kyoto as well as Tokyo. So yeah, it really takes me back. I think it'll be great. I think it's a really cool idea. This is sort of this is kind of a nice story, actually. I really like this. So the center holds. Artist Mark Bright. That's an artist I really liked because he worked on G.I. Joe. He was also known, sometimes he was credited as MD Bright. Sometimes he was credited as Doc Bright. He went by different names. Doc was just because his middle initial was D. So, yeah, but he passed away, just to be clear, March of last year, 2024. He was only 68. But he drew one last comic that's about to be published by Boom Studios. It's called The Center Holds. And it sounds pretty funny, actually. Even if you don't think you know Mark Bright, you might, because he drew Green Lantern a lot, including the Emerald Dawn storyline. That was one of the first Green Lantern stories to be critically acclaimed, in my opinion. He had a long run on G.I. Joe. Very good on G.I. Joe. And he also co-created Quantum and Woody, among other comics work. Quantum and Woody at Valiant with writer Christopher Priest. Really funny, cool superhero comic. It's going to be a 5-issue superhero stories, and it's actually based on a concept that Bright had, fully scripted by his G.I. Joe collaborator, Larry Hama. So this is a Larry Hama book as well. And here's their premise. In a world where superheroes have become commonplace, heroes are required to join a union or else face serious financial liability for the damage caused during battles. Enter the Superheroes Union, a team-up of genius cyber, psychic Lakshmi, the mysterious Keeper, and child prodigy Nekatron, among others, as they battle villains and bureaucracy alike. And though the delicate balance of mitigating damage while saving lives is already tough enough, they've got their own worries, with a constant stream of villains rising up to challenge them. He was a really good artist, really fun, good at like just about everything. As you can see, like, you know, his vehicles, his pacing, his, you know, physiques and gesture. He was really good. Yes, that's another big one. If you don't know, he was a black artist, and he was part of Milestone. He drew Icon, working with guys like McDuffie and Cohen and just a bunch of greats. Really, really liked Mark Bright. I discovered him because I was a G.I. Joe was one of my introductions to comics, and I realized, like, oh, cool, like there's a new artist on it that's making it look really, really good. And I just, yeah, I'm always a sucker for Larry Hama. I think he's pretty good at being very darkly satirical of bureaucracy, and I think it could be fun. I think it could be fun. Yes, great point. He did. Yes, there's a very iconic Shockwave cover for Marvel Transformers. Yes, Good point. Good point. Well, I'm not going to hold that against him. He was a working artist. Marvel is pretty terrible, but I blame that on the writer, not the artist. Armor Wars, yep. In other words, he did a bunch of really great stuff in his time. You know what, folks? It occurs to me that I forgot to talk about something. Let me jump back to one of these news articles. Okay. So I had talked about the Dynamite Archie collaboration, and I almost forgot to mention that they have sponsored this episode again. So I think now, and you know what's good? The viewer count is up higher now than when we started, and we're doing the first news item. It tends to increase. So now is as good a time as any to plug something for Dynamite for this episode. Let's talk about that.
Hi folks, it's Liam Johnson here, writer of the 2025 Vampirella Halloween special, and also the new and upcoming Vampirella Winter special. And that's what I'm here to talk to you about today, as me and the fantastic Jordan Michael Johnson team up once again to bring you another exciting Vampy tale. The last time we worked together, Jordan delivered some wonderful horror-infused artwork, but this time we're coming at you with a whole heap of action, as Vampirella finds herself taken prisoner by a mysterious and conniving billionaire with a keen interest in extracting her blood for no doubt nefarious reasons. Now, not only does Vampy have to figure out just what in the world's going on, but she's got to fight her way to freedom too. We're bringing the action with this one, and Jordan's delivering it in spades. It's a one-shot story. Everything you need to know is in these pages, so both new and old Vampirella readers alike will get something out of this one. Besides Jordan's brilliant work, we're lucky enough to be graced by a whole host of amazing variant covers, including work by Mike Roof, Joseph Michael Lisner, Selena, and cosplayer Joni Brosis. The book hits stores in January. You should reach out to your local comic shop now and get them to save you a copy before the final order cut-off date of December 29th. I'd hate for you to miss out and add to your January blues. Thank you very much, and we hope you enjoy.
Thank you. And look I got some really nice comments here. Archie crossovers are always fun. Yep. So they're doing that. Already got this Christmas special, the Vampirella Christmas special on my pull list. Definitely excited for this one. That cover rules. So thank you very much to the folks at Dynamite for sponsoring this episode. Hope you'll consider checking out their book, Vampirella Christmas Special 2026. Like he was saying, comes out, well, basically another month. And that looks fun. I looked up Jordan Michael Johnson's artwork for the Halloween special. They haven't released any pages for the holiday special yet, but the Halloween special, really good, really good art. So I'm looking forward to that. Thank you very much to Dynamite for sponsoring, and yeah, be sure to ask your comic book store now to order it so that you don't miss out. I don't know if you played it, but I hear Dispatch is a really good superhero game. I haven't played it, but I have also heard that. Have you played it, Chuck? You just said that you heard it, so I guess not. When I hear Dispatch, it makes me think of another one that I think starts with a D, but was like a first-person shooter style in a medieval fantasy world. What am I thinking of? I don't know. When is the Comic Tropes Archie crossover? Well, I mean, I did do an episode when I looked at the Mark Waid Fiona Staples run and ate just a ton of cheeseburger sliders. Dispatched is really good. All right. Play it on stream with us. You know, I did do for a little while playing some video games on Twitch, but I didn't understand how to archive my streams. So aside from being live, I never understood how to keep those up. So it was very hard for me to figure out how to build my Twitch channel. That would be fun to like play that stuff and just talk about, say, comics or movies and stuff while I play that stuff, but I just don't know. That's right. I did sit next to it, the Archie statue up in New Hampshire. Yeah. Let's go back to a little bit more news. I've got another interesting piece. This one. That's a lot of guns and a lot of comics and, yeah, a lot of money too. So what's going on here? Well, the San Diego sheriffs arrested 2 people suspected of stealing millions of dollars worth of valuable comics, as well as guns, cash, and other collectibles. This is all stuff that was confiscated. The sheriff's office had begun an investigation into this case back in June because they received information that there was this couple using stolen identities to lease multiple storage units at different places. And why were they doing that? So that they could then steal from other units nearby. So from 3 search warrants, detectives found 19 firearms, nearly $100,000 in cash, and comics and collectibles worth millions. And even at a glance here, that makes sense because I'm seeing Jack Kirby, I'm seeing Steve Ditko, I'm seeing Golden Age stuff, a bunch of Silver Age stuff, but also like this looks like it might be, well, I mean, it's definitely, the debut of the black suit Spider-Man and Amazing Spider-Man. It might be the Mark Jeweler variant, just going by some of the other stuff that's around here. So yeah, these folks stole a lot. The couple were arrested on multiple felony charges, including burglary, fraud, grand theft, and conspiracy. Wow. That is a lot. So the police had been onto them for quite a while. And the good news is it seems like I didn't see anything in the news articles that they had sold a lot of this stuff yet. I think that they were still sort of hoarding it. So I think people should get their stuff back. Did you see that the Galactus actor, what's his name, Ralph something, answered Rob Liefeld Marvel hate tweet? No, I didn't see anything about that. Sorry. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think it's not at all abnormal to put comics and collectible cards and stuff there. I'm a little more surprised about the guns. Like, I would think that if I was going to put it in a storage, I'd still put it in like a safe within there. The cash is a surprise, but I don't know. But guess what? That's not the only comic book crime news from San Diego that I have this week. We're going to stay in San Diego. We're going to talk about something else. So, San Diego police this week asked for the public's help in solving a 33-year-old murder. The murder of comic book publisher Todd Loren. His killer still remains at large despite decades of investigation. Loren published both silly satirical type comics as well as rock and roll comics. Was probably his biggest claim to fame. Unauthorized biographies of all sorts of popular bands. The Who, Kiss, Guns N' Roses, The Beatles, anyone you could think of that had like name recognition, they basically published their biography. By the way, in my Stuart Immonen video, I show some pages from this one, Two Life Crew. That was one of the first, at least American comics that Stuart Immonen illustrated. Loren was only 32, and he was found stabbed to death in his apartment back in 1992. And they've never found his killer. It is a cold case at this point, of course, but it is not closed. And so this week, the police sort of brought it back up, opened it up, and said, hey, we need the public's help. We are open. Somebody knows something. Please let us know. So I'm putting it out there, too, just to sort of spread the word. And who knows? Maybe it'll end up in front of somebody that knows something. Yeah, it is a super sad story, by the way. He's obviously very young. It was his father that found him. His father hadn't seen him for a while. He also worked for his publishing business, and he went to do a wellness check and found him. And the police had various leads that they went on. Todd's car had been stolen by someone. But they determined that that was not the guy that did it, like that he got the car from someone else. And that ended up being a dead end. There was a serial killer active around this time and place, and they looked into it, but they couldn't find a way to connect the two. So it's sad, but it is comics related, and you never know. At this point, the police are asking for the public's help, so I thought I'd at least spread the word. And hopefully his family at some point can get some closure. His father has since passed away. I mean, it was 33 years ago, but he's still got family. You're 100% sure it was the car guy? I mean, that was the thing that the police looked at the closest, but they couldn't tie him together. So I don't know. Pretty wild. I've got one last thing to talk about. That's everything I've got to say about that news piece. Upcoming stuff I'm interested in, definitely this. Stephen Bissette's Tyrant, the original art edition. What's that? If you don't know, Tyrant, really cool 90s self-published comic that was the biography of a Tyrannosaurus Rex and what its life was like in the Cretaceous period. Not like weird, funny talking animals, just like more of a scientific look at what life might have been like for an animal back then. Set in the Cretaceous period. Well, now it's got a new Kickstarter about to launch. I also put the link for this in the description for this video. If you're interested, you can click on the link. It's going to collect the series. It's also going to feature there's really amazing high-res photography that we can use for art, and it's going to get the original art pages in this. So, I don't know if you've. It is indie. It is indie. It was self-published by what was his publishing company? I want to say Spider Baby. But Stephen Bissette was a fantastic artist on the Alan Moore Swamp Thing run. I think that's one of his big claim to fame for being known. Really great detail, really nice, natural, organic artist. And there's the link too, but it's probably easier to just look at the description. But there it is if you need to screenshot or pause or something and type it in. It hasn't launched yet. It's about to launch. But it's one that I'm probably going to get. I don't know the prices for everything yet, of course, since it hasn't launched, but it's something I would like. There was also, now that I think of it, this is funny. There was also a manga that featured the biography of a dinosaur and is technically a silent comic because it doesn't have dialogue. And I want to say it was called Gone. Let me look this up real fast. But that one was a little sillier. Yeah, Gone by Masashi Tanaka. And that also sort of follows the adventures of a dinosaur character. Very, very good detail on it. A little bit of a slightly cartoony Tyrannosaurus type of design for it. Not as scientific. But yeah, also the idea of following a dinosaur as a biography. Yeah. Oh yeah. A lot of people know about it. Yep. Oh yeah, I hadn't finished, but we talked earlier about how Jim Rugg is doing a variant cover for Kaito 84, the Usagi Yojimbo thing. He also did the design for this for a Lighthouse Press. So Jim had discussed Tyrant in, I believe, multiple episodes of Cartoonist Kayfabe with Ed, and they had a lot of respect for it. I think that they had multiple episodes. I know I saw one, but I think that they had multiple episodes where they looked at different issues, and I think it's really cool. I think it's a cool idea that's a little different than everything we typically see in comics, but shows the breadth of what you can do with comics. You can tell so many different types of stories, and this one, it's essentially a sort of a historical fiction or scientific fiction. So I really admire that. And I thought I'd put that on people's radar before it launches. Anyway, with all that said, I think it's time to switch over to doing the reviews of comics that came out this week. So let me get my second camera set up. And to do that, just give me a minute.
Let's review.
Review it.
The review.
The reviews are in. I repeat, the reviews are in.
Go to your reviews.
What? Speaking of bad reviews.
Don't worry about that review.
Let's review all the facts.
All right, gentlemen, let's review.
Before we do, let's review.
Those reviews really came out fast.
Maybe we can review some right now?
I'm not going to review all that again.
Now let's review.
Not my worst review.
Let's review, shall we? To review.
I think I've reviewed about as much as I can.
There we go. Oh, you know what? I don't like the resolution quite yet. Let me adjust something real fast on it. Try to get that a little better. It's a little sharper. Yeah. I wish I could lock it in to be permanent, but anyway. All right. So we've got a bunch of interesting comics to talk about this week. Beyond the monthly stuff that came out, for instance, I also picked up some manga this week. Latest Dan Da Dan. And this came out 2 weeks ago. Well, like almost 3 now. But Ice Cream Man, The Mortal Coil Shuffle. This is a comic book, even though it looks like a deck of cards. So real quick, let me talk about that, just because this already came out. And here's the frustrating thing that I got to share with you guys. This is not going to be reprinted, and it's not going to be put in a collected edition. That said, they did make more copies than what was initially ordered by stores. So this is still available back order wise at your comic shop. Okay. It should be anyway. So it looks like a deck of cards, right? What if I all of a sudden started doing like fast shuffling with like one hand and like doing all these like tricks, like splitting the deck? I can't. It would just be very entertaining. Surprise, I know magic. Anyway, so it's 55 cards. 55 cards. And it tells one story, comic book wise, because it is still panels. Panel to panel comics. I still don't like the resolution on this. I know I can get better. For at least this, I've got it zoomed in a little bit more. This is driving me nuts. I cannot seem to get quite the resolution that I want. Okay. I think that that's the best I'm going to do. Anyway, if you don't know Ice Cream Man, it's a horror series. It is it's an anthology style horror series as well. And they do experimental stuff here and there. For instance, they recently had an issue where every single page was a one-page horror story, and they got a bunch of guest writers and artists to join them on that. So there are some continuing like background characters. The titular Ice Cream Man seems to be this evil force that exists in the world that, does strange things to people. And there's also like forces of good. You don't encounter that in this. And this mixes together comics and prose, kind of almost by necessity more than anything else. And as you can see, some of the cards will be based on things like, in this case, Magic the Gathering, more or less. They are all numbered somewhere so that even if you drop them accidentally, you can put it back in order. You don't shuffle this or anything. Sometimes a card will look like something else. In this case, this is a business card. But it keeps moving the story forward. It's like something you're supposed to see. They play Uno in this. They play regular cards in this. You know, a guy goes to play blackjack. These are like the cards that he's getting. So like, it's weird. It starts to feel like you're almost part of the story when you all of a sudden, you know, you're reading about the guy getting cards. This is the card that he's dealt. Oh, okay. That like makes a huge impact. It really does. Very creepy story where a father has left his wife and son because he's got a gambling addiction. The wife has major depression and the son has the flu. And as a horror comic, all I can say is things just keep getting worse. Look at this. A credit card plays a part in the story. Things get weird storytelling wise with like a reverse, and we go back and we like repeat some panels, and then it's reversed again, and now the panels have changed very subtly. Very strange stuff. Is it something that you're going to feel good about by the end? No. This is horror, okay? This is horror, and it is a sad, tragic ending for all involved. And if you're like, well, who was this, like, you know, guy that, like, you know, sort of brought this weird stuff to this family? All I can say is there are continuing threads if you read all the issues. But it's closer to something along the lines of like a Twilight Zone or something like that, like where you just get individual stories with something creepy or scary. And yeah, the reason I guess it's done as cards is because the father has a gambling addiction and the son plays games with his friends, including Uno, or as they sometimes call it, one in Spanish. I got it because I really admire when people try new things with format. And that's what this is. You know, I really admire that. As a story, it's fairly brief. I mean, 55 cards is a full deck, right? But panel-wise, you know, that amounts to maybe, we'll say anywhere between 10 and 12 pages, roughly. About half of what a normal comic is. So the story itself goes a little quick. It's stretched out a little because the writer, hold on, the credits are on the last card. W. Maxwell Prince does use prose for a bunch of this, and that helps give things more context. So that helps with the pacing, to be honest. This is your card. That plays into the story. I don't want to give everything away. If you can get it, it's a very unique experience. It does draw you in and make you feel like on some meta level that you're involved or participating, something like that. I'm really glad that I was able to get one since I didn't get it the week it came out. I was really lucky that my store back ordered it and stuff. By the way, this is great. When you open it, like everything about this is presentation, folks. There's still time. Don't open this box. Well, of course you're going to. That's the only way to get the story. But it's trying to, like, you know, warn you. And it explains that it is meant to be read, that it is not a game to be played. That, you know, it's making very clear what it is. But I really admire it. It's a very unique experience. Very unique. I thought it was going to be something you shuffle and create various stories based on the random order. I can understand that. I think that would be very hard to do. Very hard to do. At that point, it's more like you might as well create, I would say, a choose-your-own-adventure type comic. I think a choose-your-own-adventure. Like, sometimes I've played with that idea of, you know, like, if you want to do this, go to this page. If you want to do that, go to this page. I think that would be interesting to do as like a 64-page comic. Yeah, it's unique. I collect decks of cards. I really hope my shop has it. And it rolls in just about anything that could be a card. Business card, credit card, playing card, tarot cards. It rolls all of that in. So there is like a theme to all of it. And it came out, like I say, a few weeks ago, but you should still be able to ask your store to order it for you. I think that this could become a real collector's item at some point. Depends, but I think it could be. I liked it a lot. Let's talk about some of the comics that came out this week, and we'll go ahead and jump to the big one. Batman Deadpool. I'm going to zoom out a little now. Okay. So this is DC's half of their crossover. Marvel already published a Deadpool Batman with Zeb Wells and Greg Capullo. DC got Grant Morrison and Dan Mora. Heavy hitters, in my opinion. Overall, by the way, I would say that this is by far the better of the two crossover books. The other one had some great stuff in it. It really did. This one, I liked all of the backup stories. It wasn't just sort of like, this was a hit, this was a miss. No, all the backup stories are great. And I think that a crossover like this is something Grant Morrison really is well equipped to play with. You can't get away from the fact that this is very commercial on sort of that meta level. Like, this was done for business reasons. And I don't think that Grant really shies away from that or tries to pretend that it is something more important than that, but instead plays with storytelling convention and leans quite a bit into breaking the fourth wall, something that Deadpool does regularly, but Grant has a history of doing in books like Animal Man. You could argue that there are fourth wall breaks in some of their other books. I might argue that Deadpool had some funnier lines in the Marvel one, written by Zeb Wells, to be honest. But this one plays into some really interesting meta stuff. This page, look at this. Deadpool goes like, okay, that's one wall, two walls, three walls, and then he breaks the fourth wall. That sort of barrier between the stage and the audience in theater. It says, I can see you. That is a riff on Animal Man, where Grant Morrison, the writer, notices the audience and meets Animal Man. That was something they did back in the 80s. But all this graffiti here, do you see this thing that says the plot need not be the best possible? This is why I think Grant is doing so good. This works on multiple levels. First, it kind of points out, look, this is a one-shot crossover. The plot itself, it really isn't that important. We just want to see these characters together, play in that world a little bit. And that's enough. And that's all this is. But this is also a reference to comics history. I believe it was the Spider-Man Superman crossover, but it could have been the Batman Hulk crossover. Anyway, one of the Marvel DC crossovers, editor Jim Shooter at Marvel said, we need to have a better plot. And DC editor Dick Giordano said, the plot need not be the best possible. This was like a letter chain that went back and forth. Dick Giordano got it, and this is the book by DC. That's not the most important part here. Yes, you need to have good execution, good writing, good art, but the plot isn't something that we are all going to remember. Like, remember like how clever it was when, they activated the MacGuffin and went to world XYZ. That was unexpected. The villain leans into this meta commentary, by the way. The villain is Cassandra Nova, who Grant created, or co-created, I should say, in the pages of New X-Men, and was obviously recently used in the Deadpool movie as the villain, but hasn't been in the comics a whole lot lately. But she plays with... She's a psychic. She's Professor X's evil twin sister. And so she's playing with things on a meta nature I'm not giving everything away, I promise. There is so much cool stuff that Batman does in this. I think it was a really cool idea for a villain. Obviously, Joker is who we'd go to first. Like, who does Deadpool have as an iconic villain? Not necessarily anybody, honestly, but X-Men lore that Deadpool's connected to. There's some interesting stuff you could play with. We get a return of Amalgam. We get the writer, who, you know, is Grant Morrison from books like Animal Man, and I want to say, I think appeared in Suicide Squad at some point. Anyway, I'm going to skip ahead so that I don't spoil it. Is the artwork by Dan Mora good? Of course it is. Of course it is. I hope you watched my recent Comic Tropes episode about Dan Mora and also a little bit Grant Morrison on Klaus. Talks about his techniques. It's really, really cool. There's a lot of great stuff in there. Strongly, strongly recommend. And then all of these backups are really good. Now, some are better than others. I would say the first two are my favorite. These two are fun ideas, but the first two are interesting. They're interesting commentary. Such different characters, even though they've got some similarities. John Constantine and Doctor Strange are such different characters, even though they both use magic. And Nightwing and Laura Kinney are such different characters, except they are both legacy characters, right? I love the artwork in this by Hayden Sherman. They do a lot of interesting stuff with borders, which helps add to the great surreal nature of both characters. Look at this. If this is a pentagram, and it's also just a great way to divide up some of the weird stuff that's happening with DC and Marvel's universes are sort of like merging. Necron and Mephisto are battling, and it's creating chaos in their universes. So John Constantine goes to meet Doctor Strange, not necessarily to just team up, but to solve things. Some beautiful artwork by Hayden. I think really, really good fit. As much as I like Hayden on Absolute Wonder Woman, which I absolutely adore, Hayden Sherman would be great on some sort of a magic title, because this is some fantastic, not just imagery, but layout. Really, really impressive. And I was so surprised by how much I loved this Nightwing Wolverine story. Although I shouldn't be that surprised. It's Nightwing's creative team of Tom Taylor and Bruno Redondo. Tom Taylor also wrote Laura Kinney, so knows these characters very well. And it's just an excuse to have them work together and contrast. I like this. Laura says, you know, don't worry about my sister that they're looking after. My sister and I, we heal. What do? What do? I do what I can. What? Wait, are you just a regular guy? That's great. It's great. Anyway. Yeah, folks, if you didn't pick it up, I really, really recommend it. It was a great crossover. Is it going to be a story that you are going to like revisit a lot? Not necessarily, at least as far as the plot. It's mostly there for fun. But I do think that Grant found some ways to lean into the meta nature behind this crossover in some interesting ways that don't take away from the story, but are additive. They're additive. Constantine Strange has been a massive smash success in the queer fandom. We put our faith in our boy JT4, and he didn't disappoint. Oh, James Tynion. Right. Yes. Took me a minute. Well, it's interesting. The crossover here has 3 credited writers, to be clear. People that work together closely a bunch. But it's James Tynion, Joshua Williamson, and Scott Snyder all work together on this. So yeah, a big creative team. I couldn't necessarily say that reading this, it felt more strongly like one writer than another, but I'd be open to people's opinions arguing that the dialogue or the pacing made them think of one of these writers more than another. But yeah, James Tynion should really be a writer on a Hellblazer book, shouldn't he? There's a lot to like about that idea. I also like it. It's sort of like they talk about, that John Constantine's world is much darker and Doctor Strange's is more cosmic. But Doctor Strange pushes back and is like, yeah, it might seem that way at first, but there's plenty of darkness in my world as well. And I like that even though Constantine is, trying to sort of trick Strange into, getting access to artifacts and stuff, at the end, he basically invites Strange to visit his neighborhood. And Strange is intrigued, and I'll be honest, I did read that as subtle queer coding. Like he's like, hey, maybe you want to take a walk on my side. And like Strange wasn't totally against it. He's like, maybe. I don't know. I sort of did read it a little bit like that. And I was like, yeah, that makes sense with these characters. But the main story is a blast. Really, really good. Okay, he's definitely inviting him to something. I think so, but it's subtle and it fits. It's not too explicit. There were a bunch of interesting books that came out this week. There was the remake. I don't know what word to use for this, but almost 20 years ago now, Kirkman and Englert did this book called Capes, which is set in the Invincible universe. And it was time to reprint it. And Mark was like, I have changed as an artist a lot. And Mark basically redrew and recolored almost everything in here. Without seeing it side by side, it's hard to explain, but there's a lot of great decisions here that make it more clear and more dynamic and more deep. Thank you, Master Shake. The 90s Batman Punisher crossover where Batman has to save Joker, who doesn't realize Punisher is actually going to kill him until the end, was amazing. Yeah, that was artwork by John Romita Jr., correct? I remember that one. They were just making so many crossovers for a while there, though, that it kind of burned me out. Anyway, if you like Invincible, you'll definitely like this book. That said, it is a little more satirical because the people at Capes do this as a job. They punch in and punch out. They've got benefits. There's interpersonal drama. The costumes and powers are a little weirder. Our Viewpoint character is Kid Thor, who his family has Mjolnir and can pass it down through the bloodline. The main character is Bolt, sort of an everyman superhero that's just really strong. It's fun and it is funny. It was a blast to come back to this. What I was surprised about was that Robert talked about the origins for this in the back matter. Now, I have always known this, but I didn't think he ever wanted people to know this. But he talks about how before he did even Battle Pope, Robert both wrote and drew a comic that he self-printed and stapled at a Kinko's. And it was a wrestling comic called Between the Ropes. And he ultimately took all of those characters and ideas and turned it into capes. He turned the wrestlers into superheroes. But he took the idea of behind the scenes, crazy characters and stuff. And I have a copy of that. and I am not allowed to share it with anyone. I cannot show that on. I've shown his pitch things for like Dead Planet before he did what do you call it? Walking Dead. But he did always ask me like, don't show, between the ropes. And I was like, okay. But I do have a copy of it, and it's funny because plot wise and character wise, it's Capes, but it's a lot cruder, and it's really cool to see the characters come together. Now, there are references to both Invincible and Savage Dragon continuity. Not important references, but references to stuff as well as pop culture stuff that's a little older, here's a small one. They're talking about their origins and their names, and Bolt is talking about how he came up with his name, and Kid Thor references the movie Blade, and Bolt is like, that movie wasn't out yet when I named myself. That kind of dates it, because that movie was what, 99 or something like that? It probably is a collector's item, but, I'm not going to sell it because that would betray a trust. You won't tell Robert? Thank you. It's fun, folks. I'm really impressed with how much Mark has evolved. I love some of the coloring techniques that he does. He does this interesting sort of scratchy technique for like highlights that just gives it a hint of texture and isn't just purely cell shaded. It gives it like just a little bit more. I like that quite a bit. I can't easily go into One World Under Doom without spoiling all of it, but this is the finale of the event where Dr. Doom took over the world successfully. And this issue is all about him realizing that he's made a massive mistake and trying to undo it. And we get to see, does Doom have any bit of redeeming qualities to him? What are his limits? All I'll say is it takes him all the way to meeting the Living Tribunal. And in Marvel lore, there's no more powerful being cosmically than the Living Tribunal. It's a being that judges the worthiness of the universe itself, like whether it should live or die. And Dr. Doom has made such a huge mistake that he goes to the Living Tribunal to try to change the nature of the universe, which is interesting. And what are his true motivations for that? That is what this issue is all about. So, and I would say it's earned. And I would say that it takes its time. Like the whole issue is all about that one thing. It provides, I think, a really satisfying conclusion to that arc, and the fact that Dr. Doom had Doctor Strange's Sorcerer Supreme powers. You can't have that going on forever. But it felt like it moved to the right place and earned a great ending. I actually liked this event. I would say that it probably could have been a little shorter because the first several issues were just the heroes constantly losing to Dr. Doom and him seeming to make the world a better place. So it's like, well, what's so bad? When we finally get to the twist of what Dr. Doom is sacrificing and doing to get that power, you're like, oh yeah, he is a bad guy. But yeah, there were a couple good reveals in this. There really were. It was good. Don't need to review everything that I got. Ultimates. This is an issue that wears its heart on its sleeve. It's issue 18. Next month, the villain, the maker that made this universe, is going to get out of this 2-year prison that he was put in. He was put in sort of a time prison, and he's getting out next month. So this issue has Tony Stark send a message out to the world and argue the case for why people should rise up against tyranny and join them as ultimates, that you don't need to be a superhero, what kind of things you can do to resist and why it's important to resist. And that's all, what would I say? The imagery and the words are juxtaposed with cool scenes of superheroes doing their own fighting and resisting. it could very easily feel too wordy and feel preachy, but instead I felt like it was kind of heartwarming. Really, really satisfying. That's interesting. Was it? What would people have an issue with, I wonder? I liked it. Yeah, I do recommend it. It's been the most satisfying of the Ultimate books by far, because it introduces so many big ideas, and it moves at such a pace that it's like, yeah, cool idea, right? Well, we're just going to keep moving. We're not going to just pause to say, like, here's an Easter egg for things you might know, and here's how we're doing it differently. It just keeps moving. I'm very excited to see how the Ultimates universe will end. If it has a great ending, I think that this 2-year run will be remembered very, very fondly. If it doesn't, it will still be remembered as a great experiment with some really nice writing and some excellent art. But if they can nail the ending, it's going to be remembered for a long time. The only thing in this is that, like, Danny Rand was I believe he was a prisoner in Luke Cage's prison, and he's just training to be a martial artist with Shang-Chi. Is there anything else I need to talk about this week? You know what else I'll talk about real quick is the latest volume of Dandadan, which is one of my favorite mangas, folks. It's funny, it's sweet, and the art is some of the best I've seen out there. Look at some of these double-page splashes by Yokinobu, right? Yeah, Yokinobu Tatsu. The amount of detail on it is incredible. Oh, I thought that I was noting a certain page. This gets back to some of my favorite stuff, which is the relationship between Momo and Takakura. It has crazy supernatural adventures. It has wild monsters. It has hilarious, goofy allies all bickering and arguing. And there's a great page in this where the only way to save the day is for a girl to embrace her talent for singing. Look at that page. Tell me that doesn't, like, hit real hard. Seeing this girl over here, Rin, just sing her heart out while these guys rock. I think that looks incredible. This is one of the best manga coming out right now, and I think Yokinobu Tatsu is going to be remembered as one of the best. I'm not saying that lightly. The art in it is fantastic. Sometimes it's funny, but it legit makes me laugh. And I would say that the characters are cute, and I like that. It makes me laugh. It makes me care about, like, you know, the teen budding romance between the nerd and the popular girl as they find stuff in common. It's got funny bickering family members and friends, weird powers. It's got all sorts of great elements. And tonally, it's very consistent. This introduces, like, a new character with a new weird supernatural thing. There's a background mystery of the main guy, Takakura, trying to find his missing testicle, which, if you don't know, was taken by a ghost. It's very silly. It moves at a great pace. It doesn't dwell on anything. I like the characters. I find them genuinely convincing and charming. The anime is very good. I loved that first season song, though. I wish that they kept that, but I respect second season song. Anyway, I just think that this is some incredible artwork. It really is. The interpersonal stuff here. I think the artist is absolutely in love with Momo because he just makes her so cute without, overtly sexualizing her. She wears, big puffy sweatshirts and stuff like that. So she's not wearing like, she does wear a short skirt, but, she also wears big leggings and stuff. And he just draws her so cute. I don't know. I was really impressed. I love this volume. I liked it more than the last couple. The last couple I've enjoyed a lot, but Takakura was sort of taken out of commission for a big part of the story arc, and I really love him and Momo together. So great volume. It's volume 15 already. Coming out really fast. Strongly recommended. So what's my pick for book of the month? Or book of the week. Let me just focus on me for a second. A lot of great options. This is up there, and it only comes out every few months because it's, a nice big chunk. Ultimates was really good. Conclusion to One World Under Doom was very good. And this was a pretty special volume as well. So those are the ones that are going to be in the running. It's definitely Batman Deadpool overall. Although I will say this is super close. Super close. But I think that there's just some interesting stuff that was done, not just in giving us a fun, funny, and action-packed story, as well as interesting supplementary little stories, but there was something done in terms of talking on a meta level in a way that made sense and added instead of distracted. So yeah, it's definitely the Batman Deadpool book by DC. And in my opinion, it's a lot stronger than the Marvel one, but how much you agree with me will depend on how much you like Grant Morrison more than anything else. I like Grant Morrison. Usually I love Grant Morrison's stuff. I every once in a great while, it confuses me, but this one I really liked. I thought there was a lot to it, and I think it warrants rereadings. So yeah, that's my pick. But I am curious, if you guys disagree. And if I had picked this up the week it came out, I think it would have been fair to potentially call Ice Cream Man the pick of the week. Because that's also very, very impressive. But I was late in picking that up. But I do really recommend this, just so you know. I think it's so awesome. I think it's so fun. It's one of the things I look forward to so much is when a new volume of Dun Da Dun comes out. Tell you what, I'll do a little bit of inking and we can just talk about whatever comes up. Thank you. I appreciate that. I sincerely thought Zeb Wells had some really funny lines for Deadpool. Great characterization. I just appreciated the overall story by Grant a little bit more. I don't think I read that. JLA versus Wildcats? No, I didn't read that. Don't know what you're surprised about, sister. That would be fun. I've been trying to back off on the interviews because YouTube just punishes me by doing interviews. So I've been sort of backing off on how much I want to do stuff like that. But there are several creators that I couldn't pass up an opportunity. And yeah, if I could talk to Grant Morrison, it would just be too big an opportunity to turn down. So never say never on that one. And I'm sure that I've got ways that I could reach out to them since they've appeared on shows by people that I'm friendly with and could probably get contact info on. I don't know. It's something to consider. That's awesome. I like doing interviews. They absolutely devastate the channel because they never do that well compared to my other videos, and then they even hurt the next several videos because it changes the algorithm. I don't mind doing them on this channel, but it's always going to be kind of small and short on this channel. It's not going to be the deep dives. So I'll do them from time to time, but it's going to be rare. It's going to be rare. I'll do some here on this channel when somebody specifically is promoting something that I can kind of get in and out, like learn a little bit of something, let them promote, and we have some fun with it, like a late night talk show type style. But it's unlikely that I'll do a lot of interviews on my main channel for now, because I need to balance it a little bit more on earning some money from it, because it's not. I do need to do that at this point. I've dedicated a certain amount of my times and energy to doing it as a career, and I'd love to be so carefree that I just go, I'm doing something I love. It's just going to be what I like to do, but I can't do that. Like it's fiscally irresponsible to myself and my wife. I need to balance it to a degree with episodes I make that are likely to engage a wider audience. I will still do things that I love, even if I know that the algorithm isn't going to love it. If I come across a more indie book or an older book that I think needs to be talked about or really excites me, I'm going to do it. But I am going to be trying to balance that with doing episodes that I think can appeal to a large audience. I think that there is a way to balance that. I didn't know that she did do an interview with Margaret Atwood, but I find that actually very inspirational. The last couple interviews that I've done for two reasons. I'm talking about on the main Comic Tropes channel as compared to this channel. I did an interview with Daniel Warren Johnson, and I did an interview with Robert Kirkman. Both of those are pretty short, but I consider those both, if not friends, people I'm friendly with, and they're pretty big names. And that said, they did not do that well for the channel. They kind of did, yeah. And so I need to be fair to myself on some level. It's very hard. When Chrissy got laid off this year, that put a certain burden on us. Now, Chrissy has some savings. She's paying her share, and she's doing great stuff with her time. She's getting her college degree, and I really admire that. She's fantastic. But she's got that, and she's dealing with some serious health stuff. And I'm the only one with a job. It's super, super serious that I do what I can to monetize that in a responsible way. And I wish I didn't have to be that serious about it. I wish I didn't, but I do. I'm not a guy that has 1 million subscribers, So anyway, I hope that makes sense what I'm talking about. And I'm not trying to just get too deep into the weeds and talk just about myself. But yeah. It's a little tough for us. Things are a little tight, and that's okay. But yeah, I've tried to tell family. Actually, if my sister's still here, I haven't told you yet. But we're probably gonna have to budget for the holidays. We're not gonna be able to be as generous as in past years. I did do the Peach interview on my Comic Tropes channel, not on this one. I thought that was an interesting opportunity with somebody that doesn't do lots of interviews. She does do some. It's not like I'm the only one in the world that got to talk to her. But I thought that was unique enough, and that did okay because of that. That did okay. But if you look at it, the numbers are not what I can get for, say a look at the craziest Spider-Man story of all time. Anyway, I don't think that this should be anything that disappoints or makes anybody that's a viewer afraid. You're going to be getting content that I believe will resonate and that people will get something out of. I'm just saying that I'm going to try to be balancing it with my channel with things that are likely to get views, not just stuff that I am passionate about in that moment. I'm trying to put some thought into ways to balance that. I haven't had any time to play any video games lately, but my coworker Micah was telling me that the new Ghosts of Yotei game is really, really good. He absolutely loves Ghosts of Tsushima, but I haven't played that one yet either, I have to admit, and I really want to. I'd love to have some time to game, but I've only had time to work. Oh, hey, Chrissy. Thank you for watching. I do, but I need to. Who else is going to put the pressure on me? I need to make the money. That said, good news. I'm really close to wrapping up the edit on my next Comic Tropes episode. And I've also recorded a dedicated episode for my patrons this month. That shouldn't take too long. If I can sort of get ahead, yes. I don't like how much it's gathered up, like the indie promo stuff. Like, I've got a lot to share. I really do. If we do Thanksgiving with family, it won't happen. But if it's just Chrissy and I, maybe I'll do like a live stream showing off the indie stuff that was sent to the P.O. box on Thursday. And then it would be archived for everyone to see whenever. Badlands was great. I agree with you, Kevin. Will we see Deck again? I think the movie is doing very well. I think it's super likely that we get another of this specific character, yes. I have not seen any of the Wicked movies or the musical. I don't know anything about it. Well, I think first I do one where I just unbox everything from the P.O. box. And then maybe I can do a live stream where I just allow people to be interviewed. It's probably just us. I want to spend a lot of time with you, but maybe I'll also do a live stream and get sort of caught up on sharing some of the stuff that got sent in recent days. We'll see. I want to be available to also help make whatever we're going to have. So there you go, folks. It's probably just Chrissy and I for Thanksgiving. We wanted and planned to do it with her parents, but her dad is unfortunately just not feeling too well. I don't think it's anything super serious, but yeah, he's not feeling great and a little sick, so it's probably just going to be the two of us. But that's okay. We've done that before and had a great time. Chrissy's an exceptional cook, if I haven't ever mentioned that. I think I have, though. Chrissy really is something special when it comes to cooking. This is fun to ink. You like the weird ones? I'll try to do another Golden Age look sometime soon. Those also aren't gonna get quite the views as looking at somebody more modern, but they're very, very fun to do, and they have a good long tail performance. Like, people don't always catch them right away, but if somebody watches any of my weird Golden Age stuff, they'll then want to watch the rest of it, is what it seems like, because I just sort of get these bursts of not just one video has been watched, but a bunch of similar related videos get watched, and you're like, oh, cool, somebody found it and decided to dig into the library. And that's nice to think that I've created a little bit of a library so that, when new people discover the channel, they've got a bunch of material to go through. Yeah. That's mine. I'm just doodling around. I just doodled a quick deck. You can see that there's not a lot to the pencil, but just trying to have fun practicing inking techniques more than create a beautiful piece of artwork. Just trying to have some fun. What other good games have come out this year? I'm real curious because, like I say, I haven't had a lot of time for games. I've heard that Ghosts of Yotei is really good. Is there anything else that's come out this year that's been, like a great AAA title or anything along those lines? I guess most of that tends to come out in December every year, right? Most of it. Not familiar at all. I've heard some people talking about it tonight, but I don't know what that game is about or who made it or what it is. No. Are all good anime that came out this year just sequels of TV shows? I'm not an expert. I don't consider myself as far as anime. In fact, now that I think of it, I think the only one I watch is Dandadan. Huh. Yeah, I think that's it. Dispatch and Split Friction. Didn't hear about Split Friction. Dispatch has 4 exclusive comics, too. Okay, everybody's talking about Dispatch. Oh, really? Oh, it's superhero related. Oh. A narrative adventure game where you manage an agency of superheroes and deal with their interpersonal drama and mystery. Oh, I didn't know about that. That does sound like something I'm curious about. I'll read up on it tonight. That's cool. Oh, anime movies. Yeah, the only ones I've been hearing about are like Demon Slayer and Chainsaw Man. I can't think of anything else. Oh, that sounds really cool. The game Stray is free on PS Plus. You play as a cat. Wow. I don't think I have PS Plus. Probably because I don't use it enough, but that does sound cool. Huh. Thanks for the recommendations, folks. That's really cool. Oh, I saw a good movie this past week. The sequel to Sisu, the action movie. Sisu 2 is really, really fun. If you like the first one, you'll also like the second one. Over the top, bloody action, but also a little bit of borderline Looney Tunes violence. Just with blood. Yeah, Sisu was really, really good. I like that a lot. Last couple of movies that I've seen, the ones that like stand out that I've really enjoyed just in the last couple months would be Predator, Badlands, and Sisu. The rest sort of whatever. Even on streaming and stuff. Oh, you know what else I've been enjoying personally? Although this is not going to be for everybody's tastes, but The Chair Company, the Tim Robinson show on HBO. I've really been enjoying that. And once I finish that, I think I'll binge the Welcome to Derry It show. But for now, I'm watching The Chair Company. It's so surreal, but makes me laugh so damn hard. But I'm a big fan of Tim Robinson, and I know that he's got a very unique sense of humor that probably isn't for everybody. Yeah, the first episode's very cringy. I would say that, like, while there's lots of cringe to come, it also gets funnier as it goes on. Predator on Scarro. That would be badass. I've never seen The Expanse. I'm aware of it. More of a hard sci-fi show, right? Like no aliens or anything. But yeah. I saw the first 2 episodes and I liked it. But I only really have time to watch one show at a time because I don't watch a lot of TV. I'm mostly working. So first we'll finish The Chair Company, which we're behind a couple episodes on. And then I think we'll go back and binge Welcome to Derry, because I think that's something Chrissy and I could both enjoy. We try to find like shows that we'll both enjoy, just so that like even though it's, I don't know if it's quality time, but it's still some time that we're spending together, right? It's fun to watch a show with somebody else so that you can like talk about it later. I think my phone fell down. Siri, where are you? Phone fell down. All right. What else is good to talk about these days? There's no big Comic Cons coming up or anything, are there? I'm trying to think. You know what's weird is I don't think that there's any real comic book movies coming out in December. Usually there's sort of something close to the holidays between like November and December. There's usually a Marvel or a DC, but I don't think that there's either. How are you feeling after tonight's stream, my dude? I feel happy when I get to talk to people. Socializing is really good for me. So right now I'm feeling good. I've been feeling so down lately, and I will try not to get into that because I'm not here to depress other people. But thank you. Thanks, Chrissy. I'm having fun, like just doodling around with little techniques. Thank you. You know what I wish I had more time to do is discover good modern music. I feel like I'm so out of the loop with music. I used to always think, my parents and that generation just sort of like gives up on music at a certain point. And it isn't that you give up. It's just that you stop easily being exposed to new stuff when you're not always surrounded by as many people of your age group and stuff. When I'm in college and stuff, it's so much easier to just bump into people that are like, oh, have you heard this or that, or actually go out to shows. And as you get older, it really becomes harder to keep up with music. I don't know why it should be so hard, but it really is. Oh, here's the text I sent you. If I make a pizza with normal carby crust, do you want to make it with a boy side? Yeah, that sounds nice. That sounds real nice. I didn't realize until I talked to Chrissy yesterday that my seasonal affective disorder had kicked in bad. Like, there's just not much sunlight and it affects me bad. Like, I'm always depressed, but I get extra depressed now. I have trouble sleeping. And I was all of a sudden like realizing that I'd stopped taking my meds for a couple days because I was just feeling so down. But I'm on them now, so just don't worry about me, please. I'm okay. But I was having a bad few days, and I really just shouldn't ever stop taking my medication. Things get bad when I do that. Monsoon season here in the Pacific Northwest, and lots of people struggle with that. Plus, it gets dark by like 4:30. Okay. Chrissy calls pizza, like if it has vegetables, she calls that girl side, and if it has meat, that's boy side, which I know is absolutely silly, but it's our shorthand for things. And don't get me wrong, we both like both meat and vegetables, but we just call it boy side and girl side. It's like calling all cats are girls and all dogs are boys. It doesn't make any sense. Thank you, Dr. Shuba. Let's see. I found out an old friend bandmate had a heart attack and passed just before tonight's stream. Thanks for giving me the show to take it off my mind. All of our deepest sympathies, Doc. Yeah, please talk to family and friends so that, you know, you can handle something serious like that. That's really serious. Let me see. Tell me what genres bands you like, and I will give you lots of music. I am being dead ass. That means for real. I know that much. Also, if you got the time, squad up with me on Fortnite. I would love to. I'll be upfront. I don't. I like Fortnite. I haven't played it in several months. I just don't have the time right now. Maybe down the road. And I would do that, Steve. That would be a blast. I really enjoy Fortnite. I feel like I'm actually pretty good at it. To toot my own horn, but I just don't have time for it right now. But thank you for the invite. And what do I like for music? It's so basic to say, oh, I like a little bit of everything, you know, but it's sort of true. What are some of my favorite bands? I got to think about that a little. Give me a minute. I don't want to just blurt out an answer that isn't quite accurate. Oh, you know what? I've been listening to an older song this week because I watched that channel Todd in the Shadows. If you've ever heard of him, he analyzes music. Sometimes it's just like pop hits or one-hit wonders, and that's just fun. But he was talking about a one-hit wonder of somebody that was legit, really, really talented, Brenda Russell, and her song "Piano in the Dark." It's like 1989, and it's such a good song. And I think I'd sort of been aware of it, but not really. And I've been listening to that a couple times this past week because it was really fun. And she has a super interesting history, too. Oh, you saw that. Yeah, it was really good. And I guess, you know, in addition to having some other songs that were close to hits and like a really respectable musical career, she got into Broadway. And what was the musical that she did again? She did the musical... Oh, all of a sudden I'm forgetting now. But it was the first thing that really starred Cynthia Erivo, I think I'm saying her name right, who now is famous for Wicked. Dude, listen to it again. It hits pretty hard. I didn't really know it either. It was a really legit, interesting episode, and the music is catchy. The song is. I wonder if all Youches are hunters or if some of them have regular jobs like drywaller or massage therapist. Well, you know what? I think that's a great point and probably wouldn't be the most interesting thing to explore. But if they have spaceships and laser mounted cannons, some of them got to be scientists. You know, some of them got to be. They can't. Unless we're going to say that they somehow, like, you know, stole all of that technology from somebody that crashed on their planet, which I don't think is as interesting. It's the same sort of cognitive dissonance we have to have if we try to understand Klingons as they were, you know, portrayed for the longest time in Star Trek. I think that there was some episode of, like, I don't know if it was The Next Generation or Deep Space Nine, but at a certain point, like, we meet like a Klingon that's like a scientist and is like, this is a different frontier that you can conquer. And like, we're told that like, it's respectable to conquer the frontiers of science. And I was like, okay, yeah, that would have to be the case because they've got spaceships. Thank you. The Color Purple is what she helped turn into a musical on Broadway. Yes, the Color Purple. Cynthia Erivo. I think I'm saying her name. Yeah, there's got to be Yautja chefs. There's got to be all sorts of stuff. Do you like instrumental, like post-rock, math rock? Yvette Young, she did guitars on the Superman movie. Another band, Fountains DC. Good stuff. I would say I'm not as familiar with it, Steve, if I'm being totally honest. I'm not as familiar. For purely instrumental stuff that I like listening to these days, I would say that I do listen to some synthwave, which sounds like it's retro, but it's actually made today, and I like that. Yes, the sixth Star Trek movie famously had Michael Dorn playing an ancestor of Worf, who was a Klingon lawyer, and I kind of like that. Yautja Plumbers. Hey, it's me, Mario Yautja. Do-do-do-do-do-do. I think Yautjas did overthrow alien conquerors and steal their tech. Apparently, you can see a statue of the aliens in the beginning of Badlands. That's an interesting idea. I was just thinking like somebody crashed and they sort of retrofitted the technology, but the idea that they are not actually that advanced, but were at one point completely subjugated by another alien species that was more advanced is not a bad idea. I kind of like that. So it's just that the most interesting thing is what we get introduced to in the first Predator movie. You know, we don't, in some ways, I don't want to know too much about the Yautja. And in other ways, I was like, well, Badlands gave us a Yautja as the protagonist, and it worked really, really well. But there's going to be that line where if you tell too much, it takes away some of the mystery. I think Wolverine honestly used to be a much cooler character before Origins, the comic. And I don't think Origins is in and of itself a bad comic. Maybe I should make that as an episode. It's not in and of itself a bad comic. It's a more than serviceable origin for Wolverine. It fits in a lot of what we know. It adds a few other wrinkles, but I think it made him it took away too much of the mystery. We could fit in all the rest of Wolverine's history once we sort of knew what his life was like as a child. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Lewis Small Jr., huh? Lewis Small Jr. passed away. I'm sorry to hear that. Did he draw during the Warren era of Vampirella? The name doesn't immediately ring a bell, but I'm bad at names. If I saw the art, I might know. Thank you for sharing, though. Yeah, we talk about some sad stuff here. Yeah, Udo Kier passed away. I really liked Udo Kier. He's in some interesting movies. He was in he's in actually a ton of stuff. I can't even begin. Yeah, he's in so much stuff. Weapon X added to the character. Yes, but Origin was too much. So there's a line there. There's a line. Origin worked because it was just telling us a piece in the middle of his life how he got his metal bones. That doesn't take away his whole mystery. It just tells us a piece. But telling us who he truly is as a child, that's who he is. And it just took away too much mystery, I think. Do I think Spawn and Hellboy will have a crossover? I wouldn't say no. I think Hellboy's met Savage Dragon and Savage Dragon's met Spawn. That's more of a question of, are Mike Mignola and Todd McFarlane ever going to get talking and do something, which I don't know that they would now. Oh, the Harris era, sure. Yeah. I remember the Weapon Plus stuff that was in New X-Men with Phantom X, but any of the other stuff I don't know as much. Right? Crossed over with the Goon. But again, that like just gets to be, well, Mike Mignola and Eric Powell got along and they wanted to do something together, and I get that. I need to figure out how to go to San Diego Comic-Con. I've never been to that one, and I think I'd like to check it out. It's probably too late to just buy a ticket, but maybe I could get like a pro badge. I don't know. Sorry, it just popped in my head. It's probably too late to get a pro badge, too. I always think about these things too late. Oh, hold on. I see a color on my screen that typically means that there's been a super chat. Let's see. Here it is. I recommend The Midnight, and I, too, want... Oh, and I, too, want to go to San Diego Comic-Con. The Midnight, yeah. I think I've heard them a little bit. Yeah, I definitely have heard The Midnight. They do synthwave stuff. Yes, I've definitely heard The Midnight. In fact, I think that they are actually available on Epidemic Sound, which I can use on this channel. Like, I can use music. For instance, there was some background music on that ad for Dynamite that I played earlier. Yeah, we can all create our own headcanon, pick and choose what we believe, and I think that that's totally fair to do. Some people are like, nope, if it's, published, it's canon, and I have to acknowledge it. And I'm like, I don't think that's the most satisfying way to enjoy serialized superhero stuff. I think you can definitely pick and choose what you like. But I'm realizing the time, and I do work tomorrow, so I think I'm about to wrap up shortly. Because I want to have some time to see if I can finish my edit on the next comic tropes. I really want to get that to everybody ASAP. And then I'm going to work on a few things for December. One, I definitely want to create one of my weird Christmas episodes, looking at a crazy show. I need to create my top 10 list of the year. I like doing that. And I haven't looked at a crazy Golden Age comic in a while, so I might do that. 385 gallons of oil was pumped into the wrong house. Oh my God, what did that do? Did that just like overflow their system? That sounds like a nightmare. Oh, and they had no tank. Good Lord. Oh my God. That's horrific. Oh my God, the damage that would do to the house. Well, all I can say is I guess that, the power company is responsible for making all of that right. And that's why we have insurance when we have insurance. Did I ever tell everybody, by the way, of what happened when my old house in Virginia flooded? And what it did to the neighbors downstairs, and etc. Did I ever talk about that on this show? I wonder. If enough people know, I won't repeat it. But if you don't know what I'm talking about, maybe I'll tell that story again. Oh, I'll look that up. Rise of the Synths. Jim Mafood is currently in Japan, so we're sort of on a small hiatus for making a new episode of trash movie bonanza, but there are movies that we want to cover. Yeah, both horror and potentially a cool manga adaptation into a live action movie that was really cool. But yeah, so we've got some ideas, just so you know. Let's see. All right. You don't think you've heard it? We have to play. So this is a reason why you should have homeowners or renters insurance, folks. Because first of all, it's very inexpensive as far as insurances go. You pay a lot more proportionally for health insurance, life insurance, car insurance. Homeowners and renters isn't, well, it depends on where you live. I'll say that. But here we go. So, back in Virginia, one day, Chris, get up. The house is flooding. Well, we actually had what's called a condo, a townhouse, and we lived on the second and third floors. The door was on the first, and we had a small landing, but we lived on the second and third floor. Here, I'll just focus on me for a minute, because we're talking about insurance real quick. A lesson. Everybody loves lessons. All right, so our washer dryer is on the second floor, and the hose, a plastic or a rubber hose, had broken in the middle of the night, and water was pouring out of it. So we shut off our water, we mop it all up, and we call our insurance company, and we call the homeowners association, because there's people underneath us, and we knock on the doors of the people that were right underneath us, but they were on a month-long trip to China, or maybe like Vietnam or something. But anyway, they were on a trip. But we'd called the homeowners insurance and let them know somebody needs to go into our neighbor's house to mop it up and everything, because we can't get in there, and they're not there. So somebody needs to, get in there. Okay, good, got it. And we fix our broken washer with our insurance, and they pay for a little bit of carpet damage, I think, and then there's the homeowner's insurance we pay that pays for any structural damage, and our insurance covers the deductible for that insurance. Whatever. Anyway, we're good. Okay. Cut to a few weeks later, and I get a knock at my door. It's the neighbors. They're back, and we'd always gotten along very well. And she's like, Chris. Oh, that's right. They were over there to bring home their adopted baby. Yeah. I sort of remember that, but that's why they were away for a long time. And they're like, Chris, what happened? And I was like, yeah, I'm so sorry. Did nobody from the homeowners association tell you or anything? There was a flood. And they were like, no, and everything's ruined. And they were like, come see. And they bring me in, and the walls are sagging down a foot or two, and the counters are all weirdly warped, and it smells weird because the water has infused their carpets and their mattresses and their sofas and stuff like that. It's ruined. No one went in and did anything. No one went in and did anything. Oh, that's terrible. I'm so sorry. They're like, yeah, it happens. It's just stuff. It's nothing too important. How's your insurance going to pay for this? I was like, my insurance pays for my place's damage as well as, any structural damage to the house, but any damage to your unit, your insurance pays for it. And they go, well, we don't have insurance. And I was like, I'll call my insurance company. I called them, and they're like, no, we're not going to cover that. And I was like, yeah, I didn't think so. And I was like, yeah, I'm sorry. That's on you. You don't have any insurance? No. I don't know how they were allowed to get their place without insurance, because I thought that it was a requirement. Most places will make it a requirement that you have homeowners or renters insurance, and they didn't have any. So they just lost everything, I guess. Just about. They didn't have any insurance. And they were like, will you pay for it? And I was like, I don't have a lot of money. They're like, it'll be like, and it was something crazy, like over $10,000. I was like, I don't have $10,000. You can take me to court if you have to, but I don't have it, and it's not my responsibility. And I felt so bad saying that. I felt so bad. But I'd done everything I could. Like it was an accident. It was an accident. Something broke. I called the homeowner's insurance and explained the situation. And to be clear, they had also told some people that were on the first floor on the other side of the house, and they got everything handled, and they had insurance and stuff. That wasn't so bad. Yeah, it's supposed to be mandated, I thought. Oh my God. They should have sued the HOA for not notifying them. Maybe they did, for all I know. Maybe they did. We didn't talk a lot after that. They used to knock on the door and be like, oh, we made some extra food, and they'd give us, some, Asian delicacy, and that was very sweet. And they never were rude to me or said anything mean or anything, but they stopped doing stuff like that. And I guess I get it. Fortunately, within the year, Chrissy and I had decided to take a job and move across the country, so I didn't have to keep getting the evil eye. Oh, I felt terrible, but there was nothing I could do. I mean, that's not how insurance works. That is why, just to be clear, that is why you have insurance for an accident like that. And, we had a bunch of damage. Insurance covered it. It wasn't that big a deal. That's all I did, was flee the scene of the crime. All right. So I had some fun talking comics news. Did a little bit of inking on this guy. Still needs a lot of work, but just having fun, taking my time on it. Oh my God, water always wins. Jim, you're coming in just at the end here. You got a couple mentions tonight. I hope you are having the best time ever in Japan. I'm sure you are. I'm sure you're looking forward to seeing Peach and Yo and everybody at the convention. But yeah, that's awesome that you and Dave and I don't remember the name of Japan Book Hunter because I've never met him, but you guys are all having a good time out there. It seems like. Keep sharing pictures and videos. I really appreciate it. Looks like you've come across some really beautiful vintage manga and cool food and stuff. I'm just so happy for you. I got to get back. If I come upstairs ASAP, I can take the pizza out of the oven. Folks, that's as good a reason to wrap up the show as any. I'm going to go get my food. I'm going to edit in some chapter breaks in this. And then I'm going to get back to editing comic tropes. All right. Yep. Everybody, peace and love. Take care. Keep reading comics.